This is why we don't let Brody close our beaches. It's the Bennington Show, the big tune that we do every year to kick off the 4th of July weekend. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Oh, hi.
Perhaps the best opening in the history of radio itself. There should be a Jaws quote in there somewhere, though, Chris. Okay. If you really think about it. I mean, we should remember the danger of swimming in North Carolina today. But happy summer, everybody. And still kind of cool weather in New York City.
Yeah, it doesn't quite feel like summer out there, but...
Good. I always want to skip over the heat. The heat is for children and snakes. But it is, it's weird how much time we spend talking about the summer. You know, you wait for it. And then when I was a kid, 4th of July used to make me feel like it was halfway through the summer, even though that wasn't true. But it was the first sign of you've hit a mark inside the summer. These lazy days that you are spending will be gone and school will be back.
Yeah, I'm in denial. I feel like it hasn't started yet.
Well, it hasn't for adults, you know. Adults start the 4th of July. Children start last day of school. When you go running outside, you yell, up yours, Krabappel, and summer is here. And I don't think kids spend summer the way I do. I know my nieces and nephews stay pretty locked in with things that they have to do. Some kind of swim time, it's karate time, it's musical instrument time.
Well, summertime.
No. These kids today, they're expected to know different languages, have a music, because when you're 8, it's time to start thinking about that college resume. And you need to have the full one. You can't have the kind of resume I had, sat around all summer, bitched. You know what I mean?
Boring.
Bitch, got some sparklers, lit a punk on fire. By that, by the way, I'm not talking about a twink in jail. I'm talking about a cattail. Which
those are called punks?
We called them punks in our neighborhood. Cattails.
I did not know that they were called punks.
I don't even know if they still exist. I haven't seen one since I was a kid. I guess because I don't go down near the railroad track anymore. Well, you know, things being different, you know, we never said firefly, and people do. Right. We said lightning bug.
I said firefly.
You said firefly in the South. Mm-hmm. What'd you call them, Chris? You probably never saw one.
I didn't see one until I was an adult. And fireflies, I guess, is what I would call them when I did eventually see one.
It's prettier sounding.
Than a lightning bug?
Yeah,
lightning bug is more badass. But I call it firefly.
Sounds like some sort of fairy creature. That's why I like it. It's a more feminine name, I think.
I didn't even realize that. All right, let me check in Minnesota. Joey Jojo, when you were up there for the 2 weeks of summer that you had growing up in Minnesota, what did you call that insect?
Lightning bug.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah.
Me and Joey Jojo, the only 2 Yankees here.
I guess I'm just a dirty Southerner.
Well, you probably heard the term firefly from somebody who called it that. And then instead of being smart enough to go, are there any other names before I do this, you stayed with it.
Why didn't I do that? An idiot.
There's this place, now it might be in Tennessee or it might be West Virginia. It's a state park that people stay at because the amount of them, and they synchronize, like you'll see whole mountainsides go up at the same time. And, you know, that thing is some kind of just a sex dance, you know.
Right.
It's males trying to get females to come over, but we never knew that. And I haven't really lived in a place where you would see a lot. I mean, you didn't see a lot of them in Florida.
No, not many. Yeah.
But when I was a kid in summers down in Maryland, they were just, you know, it would light up entire fields. It would be crazy. But this was always the gross thing. That, first of all, you would try to capture them and keep them in a jar. But some kids would take them, mush them into their fingernails.
What?
And walk around like, because you could get, like, about a good minute of the glow, even though the thing was mushed in your fingernails.
That's pretty badass.
It's kind of gross now to think
But they
of
weren't
it.
harmed, right? They lived?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they lived and they went away and they saw their own families.
Good. Feel better about this story now.
But they light up even after they're dead. And that's kind of weird when you think about it. Andrew in Jersey.
I'm a truck driver, and I hit them all the time now, and they still say the lit up all along my windshield. It's actually interesting to see.
Man, it doesn't sound too dangerous, right? Just have a windshield full of glowing stuff.
I washed them off.
And you call them a firefly as well?
Yep.
I always like you'll find out there's some other place that just calls it something like a third thing.
Like a bleepy bug.
We used to call them zap flies where I lived.
Last summer, I took a picture of a firefly on a tablecloth that it was like mid flicker, and it was really exciting for me.
God damn it, that really makes me mad. I never took a picture like that. I don't know who I got on the phones today, but they just suck. Hi, you're on the Bennington Show.
What's up, buddies? Hey, down here in Arkansas, when we was kids, we used to write on our shirts with them, like F-U, and you can walk around for about 30 seconds and have F-U glowing on your shirt.
But first of all, it's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
It's really cool.
And what town did you grow up in?
Whitehall, Arkansas.
Now, what is a kid's summer like in Whitehall, Arkansas?
Basically stay inside a lot and go swimming every chance you get. It gets hotter than the fires of hell down here.
What do you guys, what do you swim in? Is there a river? Is there a reservoir?
Yeah, you can if you're ballsy enough to, but there's a lot of snakes and shit here.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to watch out for cottonmouths and copperheads and rattlesnakes. We got them all.
All right, so dangerous summer for children. Dangerous summer for children there. All right, thanks. Hey, Jeremy.
What's going on, Ron?
Hey, man.
So I grew up in North Jersey, and we called them lightning bugs, but now I realize what an asshole I was as a kid, because we hit them with a wiffle ball bat, and they look like little shooting stars.
See, that's the thing, that kids have a natural violence and detachment in them. Little boys anyway.
Have that,
Little boys are awful that way. And it's only years later where you're like, how many killings took place?
I'm a mass murderer.
At my own discretion.
Snuffing out life.
Firefly Holocaust.
All right, so you were just running around and hitting them with wiffle ball bats.
Yeah, or any other kind of stick that would make contact.
All right, good. All right, so sometimes sticks, sometimes just bats. Here's Chris in Alabama.
Yeah, we call them lightning bugs down here.
Lightning bug, where'd you grow up?
Northeast Alabama, near Chattanooga, Tennessee.
What was a summer like there for a kid?
It was pretty nice, man. Up in the mountains, cool breeze. We'd skewer them on pine straw, though.
Yeah. Oh, so you would kind of sew them all together on pine straw and just be walking around with your lightning bugs that way. Now, when I was a kid, every summer just meant the beach to me. Beach, beach, beach. We're going to the beach. Got to get to the beach. But now I think the mountains is a better vacation for the summer. And that would have killed me when I was a kid.
Yeah, now I do the same thing. I do mountains and lakes.
You do mountains and lakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to do lakes in Canada with my dad on fishing trips. Then we'd be down on the kind of northern part of the eastern shore at Chesapeake City summer in Maryland, or over on the Jersey side, Wildwood. You know, ocean, bay, lakes, sometimes hitchhiked out to the reservoirs with my friend, swam there, cold, deep water, and then running from cops. The cops would come out. You're just splashing around. Cops would show up, try to swim to the other side of the reservoir, and they would yell, "You don't know how many people die in this reservoir." And they would always say that there's these cold spots in the reservoir that you could dive down and hit them, and your body would kind of freeze up, and you would let yourself drown. I never felt one. I never completely believed it.
Yeah.
I thought they just don't want us in the reservoir.
What's the craziest thing we can tell them that they might believe?
You'll freeze to death.
Cold spots.
But I did see a kid get killed in that reservoir.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Fell out of a tree. He would jump out of a tree into the water. He fell out of a tree, hit the side of the cliff, went down. I was on the other side of the reservoir, and I heard his friends like yelling for him. And by the way, I don't want to say anything bad because this is a terrible drug, but we were all tripping. And they were pulling the kid up, and they were like, "We got him," and we're on our side of the reservoir, and they're like, "Yeah, you got him. And then the kid's going, "I'm losing on my left," and then he was gone, and they couldn't find him again.
Oh my God!
And the people even from our side who tried to swim over never got there inside. And me and my friend said, we better get the fuck out of here.
This is a bad
and we
place to
just
be.
literally went driving out going, that was nuts! And then later we were at a party, and then I would just keep thinking about that kid bouncing on the bottom of the reservoir. And I'm like, oh, fuck, get it out of your head.
Oh,
Don't
God.
think about that.
How old do you think the kid was? Like a teenager?
Well, I was probably, 10th, maybe 11th grade. And I don't think it's something that you would do past high school. I can't imagine that people that would be like even 20 would be out swimming in the reservoir running from cops.
We're going to the reservoir.
Yeah. But then when I heard it show up in a Springsteen song, I was very happy. I'm like, he fucking knows exactly what we're talking about. Here's Dave in Tennessee.
Hey, Bennington. Hey, we were told the same thing. Stay out of the reservoirs.
For the coldness?
Yeah, the cold. I never believed it either. I thought they just didn't want us there.
Yeah.
But they would send us to the river for the rapids and rocks and dangerous stuff, just like a big pool, the reservoir. But the reason I was calling, I caught my nephew feeding lightning bugs to frogs the other day, and it'll light up in their belly. You can see it for about 30 seconds and then lights out.
You got to get a picture or a video of that. That would definitely go viral.
That's really.
I'll definitely do it. They're still around here. They come around May in Tennessee, but they've lasted a little longer this year for some reason. I'm still seeing them around.
I didn't know that it was only the early part of the summer.
Yeah, I always thought it was like mid to late summer, but I guess that makes sense.
Maybe they move around the country.
Right.
Yeah, here in Tennessee, it's around May when you first see them, and they're usually gone by the end of June. But we still been seeing them, quite a bit of them. So yeah, I might not do that.
Thanks, man. I heard from Kathleen, and they're down south traveling around. They took that Blue Ridge drive.
Nice.
And she said that her and Bri, because this is all Grateful Dead week for her, but they did just hours of tubing. And there is something about that long tubing trip. And here's what the thing is. I don't like the organized ones where we take you in the truck.
Yeah. Right.
I always like the fact that you're just tubing some river. And what's always funny is like you'll look over and you'll just see this like little house next to one of these rivers, and you're like, man, that's a whole different life.
Yeah.
Who are those people, right?
Yeah, like, that's the life I want. Never thinking that water comes up every once in a while. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But you just see some people are just river people.
I think my fascination now with rivers, vacationing by rivers or lakes, is that I never was allowed to swim in fresh water as a kid, because in Florida,
it's dangerous.
It's ridiculous if you do that, because you'll be eaten.
Well, not just that, but you pick up all kinds of...
Oh, yeah.
Because the hot water is on that thing, and it creates all kinds of funky things that get in
Like
people's
funguses
ears.
and shit?
Yeah.
And I mean, some of it has killed kids and shit like that. Because it's really just hot sun beating on a river.
I mean, kids
creating
do
life.
it. People do it.
Yeah, you're creating life. But you can swim the rivers pretty easy. Like that Crystal River up there is just amazing.
Yeah.
You know? There is something too, like we were talking about the reservoir, or a really good lake where it's just really clear, clean water. That's an amazing experience. It's totally different. And the ocean, depending on where you go, but there's only X amount of really comfortable swimming ocean water in the U.S.
Right.
Most of it runs from, let's say, the tip of New Jersey all the way down to, let's say, maybe Jacksonville, Florida. That's cool enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll take it all the way down to Miami. I'll do it that way. But the West Coast is all freezing fucking cold water. If you get above, let's say, Jersey, that water's too cold to really enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't want to swim around in a fucking wetsuit like a lunatic.
I always think it would drive me nuts to live somewhere where you see the ocean and you can't swim in it.
That's like Maine, Washington, Oregon. That water isn't really swimmable at all.
And most of California. I mean, really, there's only a small window in which I think you can swim out there, because it's like that freezing Pacific Ocean water,
I know,
which
it's
is not
really,
the same.
really cold water. And like even Malibu, those people are putting wetsuits on, and that's supposed to be, the romanticized beach culture. But you never see people on the beach like you see straight Jersey, go to the beach. There's a million people.
Yeah. Even in Florida, I'm like explaining to someone that the beaches are nowhere near as crowded.
No.
Even though they're great beaches, you have all this area to do it, and you can do it all the time. You can go to the beach whenever.
Yeah, but you say that, but if you're on the Gulf beaches in the summer, it's like swimming in sweat. You know what I mean? That's not a nice, comfortable beach. Here's Candace. How you doing?
Hi. I grew up in Wimberley, going down to the Blanco River, catching fireflies, and we would poke holes in the top of a mason jar to see how many we could get, and then keep it in our room all night long.
And then would you stay like that and kind of, you'd have like a little light show?
Little night light for the night, and they, sure enough, be all dead by the time you woke up in the morning. It's pretty sad.
All right. And where did you grow up in?
I grew up in Wimberley on the Blanco River, where we just had this devastating flood a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking.
Those floods are so fucking frightening, man.
So frightening, and just there's a 1,000-year flood. You know,
Yeah.
People 100 yards out of the floodplain had 5 feet of water in their house.
Just can't imagine, man. Just comes up that quick.
So much respect for Mother Nature after that.
It's always true. I mean, wind, rain, the earth moving. You like start to think to yourself after a while, fleas on a dog. That's us.
Totally.
We're just fleas on a dog. All right, thanks.
Thank y'all.
Bye. Laurie, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
What's up?
So I heard a surprising thing about fireflies recently, and it just made me really grateful to live on the East Coast. They don't live west of Kansas in the United States. They live all over the world, but in the United States, it's strictly like a Kansas on East thing.
Wow, I did not.
I put up. There's got to be a firefly map of some type.
Pull up your firefly.
Yeah, go to the lightning bug demographics. It should be easy enough to find, Chris.
You know, I had heard it from somebody I'd been chatting with online who lived out west. And I'm like, okay, that's really surprising. And I was just on firefly.org a few minutes ago, trying to confirm this before I called in.
No, that's smart. It's something Chris doesn't do.
I've never been to firefly.org.
Why not, Chris?
Why?
You're supposed to know everything for us.
He went to firefly.gov.
Oh, idiot.
It sucks.
You're just going to... That thing looks like it was made in 1993. So I didn't know that. So we don't go... west of Kansas.
Yeah, so I don't know about Kansas itself. We'll have to get McPants on this one and, find out where in Kansas, the border is of fireflies. But
they don't go by our natural borders.
Yeah, I guess they're like, whoa!
Back it up, state line.
That's Blood's territory over there. Not gonna do that. No, I did not know that they weren't in California. It just seems like that would be a place.
I know. It seems like an area that would be enhanced for the Pacific Northwest, where it's really, moist and full of ponds and stuff, the sort of areas that they would like.
But Gail's right that it does have that Christopher Robin, mystical kind of childhood sight. You know what I mean? Where when you're younger, it does seem like the world does have magic. And then. When you get older, you find out the truth. Magicians lie.
They're liars.
They're just fucking liars.
I'm looking at the Firefly map right now.
Good.
And, the farthest west is the middle of Oklahoma.
And look, go to the south, too. It's not big in the south as I would have thought.
No, just some in South Carolina and some in Tampa and by Boca Raton.
Yeah, there is not... Boca
Raton.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton.
What you want to do to Boca Raton is make sure you have some rattan furniture next to the pool. Boca Raton early in the morning, you're never going to get one.
Yeah, there weren't many where I grew up, and when coming north was very exciting to me, visiting my grandparents. There were tons of them.
This was the thing of where your grandparents lived. There was always tons of fireflies, and it was farther enough away from, cities that the nights would get pretty explosive with the skies. So I remember sitting down there that if you knew there was going to be, asteroids, not asteroids, what do you call those things? It's fucking shooting stars.
Yeah,
but when you would get,
meteorites,
when you get that meteorite shower, you would just sit down there all night long. Fireflies are around. You have a pump keeping mosquitoes away, and just seeing these things fly in the sky, and you honestly couldn't feel more in the moment, and you just would have this feeling of, I bet I never go back to school. Never.
It's never
no
gonna
school
happen.
tomorrow, right, Mom? Sleep in. But those nights were just so. It just felt like you couldn't be more alive.
It's it's incredible for people who spend their time in cities to go outside of the city and actually see what the night sky looks like. It's like something that we lose all the time. And when I went out west a couple years ago, I was out in Arizona in the middle of the desert at night, and you can actually see like the haze of the Milky Way galaxy.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't think I've ever actually seen it like that before, where I could make it out, and it was like,
you get to some of those places and you get the dome because you can see stars like on all the way to your right, all the way, so you're like a dome. And you always say the stupidest thing, like, this looks like the planetarium. No, the planetarium looks like the planet Earth is supposed to look like.
No.
Right.
Like, those stars are there every night. We don't see them. Now, here's the weird deal about that. Every human being knew the night sky until you get to about 1920, 1925. And even then, it was most of the people knew the night sky. So we are, in our species, really the first ones to have no idea what it's like, not just to sit, to look up at the sky at night.
It freaks me out whenever I'm like even a little bit upstate and I see more stars than I usually do. Like if there's a lot of stars, I get weirded. I'm like,
you get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The last time I was up in the mountains and we walked out and it was just a perfectly, and one of the people we were with was, their knees start to buckle and they're like, I got to go inside. You're like, you don't want to, this doesn't happen. They're just like, this is too
much.
Too much. Here is Mike in Lake Tahoe.
Hey, Ron Fez, what up?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Thanks for first of all, thanks for making that gumming noise. What can we do for you, Mike in Tahoe?
I wanted to talk about Lake Tahoe, say that it's definitely like the clearest lake in the country. So gorgeous, you can go out to the middle of it and almost see to the bottom. Beautiful.
How far are we looking down there?
Not that far. It's not like an ocean, where you can't dive.
It's no measurement. Anything that you're giving me is not measurement. But I appreciate your call. There is something about, and I used to see this in Canada too, that you could look down. Well, I'm sure you grew up this way too, Joey, in Minnesota, where it might be like 50, 60 feet, and you're looking right down and see the bottom of it.
I remember I went to caves in South Dakota.
Yeah.
And they have underground caves there, and the water's so clear. It looks about 5 feet down, but this guy took a rope, lowered it. It was 60 feet down, but it looked like you could touch the bottom because it's so clear.
I know. I've been up to those places, and you're fishing, and you can look down and see the fish.
Oh, wow.
And you'd see it come up to your bait and swim away, and you're like, wait, trying to push your bait back over in front of it. What are you doing?
You want this, don't you?
To me, did you ever see River Runs Through It?
I have, yeah.
Well, it's a spectacular book. If you really want a summer book, pick that up. But because it's different in the movie. The fishing isn't as physical in the book. It's mental, But in the book, you've got to show man against the nature and stuff. But the physical thing, the mentalness of the book. But like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I never lived a Montana summer. I feel like an asshole now because this seems like the most spectacular. Just this cold running water just shooting through, and you're just fly fishing. Again, they only get that a few months out of the entire year. You have something that you're good at, but then you've got to wait like another 8-9 months before you can do it again. It's amazing when you think about that.
I used to think like, Oh, if you have the opportunity in the summer to travel, you should always go to different places. But now, as I get older, I think it makes a lot of sense that people who go to the same place or have a summer home, I understand that a lot more now because you only have so much time and, like, you want to connect to, like, one place and the nature of that place. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and also that you can get to it easier. So, but it's always funny because you'll know guys in the Northeast, they'll have like a little summer place. It's really hard for the upkeep because the winter comes. You're like, hope the cottage is all right, and then you're running down there, and then you have a boat, but you're really only getting to that place 8-9 weekends to use your boat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe a 1 or 2 week vacation if you could work that out over the summer. But my way of growing up is that my dad bought a piece of property and then started to build and would build a little more every summer. So we're down at the beach and shit. He's out there. We would come back and he'd be like, yeah, I got that plumbing in. He'd just be sitting there having a beer. It looked like it was the worst thing ever. Yeah. But it was only after I got older is that I understood that was his relaxation, that he didn't work a job like that. So going to do that physicality for him was kind of, and I don't even think he knew it because he bitched about it all the time. But now they're living in that home.
It's so incredible when you think about that. The first time that I took my man there he was like, what do you mean he built it? Like, he built it with his hands. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's but just a little piece at a time. Just a little, whatever could be worked out over every summer. And now they retired there. It's kind of really cool. Here's Nick in South Dakota.
Hey, buddy. It's actually San Diego. Good morning.
Oh, San Diego. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of the same over here with the activities. You only really have a couple months. I got some friends who go to the desert, but outside of a couple months, Thanksgiving time, it's too fucking hot. But once you get there, there's no lights anywhere. And it's kind of like the motorcycle talk you guys were having a week ago, where you get on your fucking quad, you drive for 2 miles or some random gas station, shit bar. It looks like out of my cousin Vinny. You hop in, have a couple beers, get back to camp. Everybody's got a big circle of RVs, getting fucked up, and nighttime comes and it's beautiful, man.
So your deal is to get into the desert in the summer.
Yeah, I tried it. My family's got like an RV, but it's too much fucking work.
Yeah, it is. It's work to keep up and do that.
We got buddies who, as soon as those months come, you don't fucking see them, dude. They're gone Thursday, they're back Monday, and they love it, man. They love it.
Well, I know I find the desert just to be unreal, just incredibly beautiful. There is still, there's still danger there. Now you got to be careful that you get out on your own like that and there's no one around. But the desert itself at night,
it's otherworldly.
It's otherworldly, yeah.
It doesn't look like, I don't know, maybe that's my own personal experience because my own experience has been so Eastern.
Right.
But when I went out to the desert for the first time, I was like, this is like being on Mars or something.
Right.
It's insane that this exists.
And it's very natural. It's very comfortable. You fall into that thing pretty quickly. Right. You know what I mean?
And the air is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's like that dry heat that just, it feels so good.
Here's Teddy. Teddy in Maine.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
You guys ever been up to Sebago Lake up here in Maine?
No.
I grew up in Boston. There were no lakes. You couldn't really go swimming in the harbor. We used to swim in the quarries down there, but my fiance introduced me to the lakes up here. You will not go back in the ocean. If you ever saw how clear this lake, you can drink the water up here.
It's funny. Anytime that I'm in Maine, I'm on the ocean.
It's too cold. It's too cold.
It's freezing. Yeah. It's freezing, but it's also beautiful. But then when you get off into like the middle of Maine and all, you're like, I wonder why this just isn't Canada, because it feels much more like Canada than the United States. I mean, by the way, we're sitting around talking about this. You could take a Canadian just throw a dart at Canada anywhere, and you will go there and feel fantastic.
Yeah.
You know why they say that fucking Canadians are nicer than Americans?
Why's that?
Because they're surrounded by that kind of, no matter where you are, you could be in the middle of like downtown Toronto and you can get to nature as quick as you could probably get to a toll booth around here. You can just, you're out and you're in nature. There's no reason not to keep a lake cottage that's like 40 minutes from your fucking downtown apartment.
That sounds amazing.
I really want to do a trip like that because I've done Montreal and I've done it twice. So I really would love to go out and see.
Well, it's amazingly different. You know what I mean? The East Coast, Newfoundland and Nova Scotia and all is really stunningly beautiful, but in a far different way than even Ontario is. And then as you get further out, well, I mean, I think that their Rockies probably blow our Rockies away.
Right.
I mean, they're like bigger and it's stunningly beautiful, beautiful land. And, you know, you look at the size of Canada, how much bigger is it than the States? Then if you look at the amount of people there, they got something like 1/10 of the population of the U.S.
They got a lot of space out there.
All they have is land and woods and tree line.
I remember being a kid, we went up further, and it was the first time that I ever saw the logs coming down the river. And my dad pulls off, and we're just watching logs. And I turned around to my family, and I went, "This is real." You know what I mean? Like this is like they're really doing this. It's not like a show film. This is how they move logs. It just didn't seem like that could happen. Here's Tim. Tim, how are you?
Good, Ron. How are you?
Yeah.
I went to university up in Nova Scotia, the northern part of Nova Scotia, by Cape Breton Island, and the way the Gulf Stream swings around up there, and it goes between Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia, the ocean water there is 70, 72 degrees all summer, and white sandy beaches, and just salt water. You just go out and float around.
I was on some of the beaches of Nova Scotia, but we couldn't go in, and the beaches were just massive and beautiful. But we started to go in, and we just like ran back out, you know. But like you're saying, it's all time of the year. I would love to get back. Prince Edward Island to me is one of the most stunning places, and it's still very much left alone. You know what I mean?
It is. It's lovely, and the people are very nice, and the scenery is untouched. You go up the coast of New Brunswick as well.
Yeah.
Untouched coastline. And when you're on the Northumberland Strait, that's the body of water between Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
The water is warm. You get into the Bay of Fundy, you freeze your friggin' nads off. But up there, it's 70 degrees and just lovely all summer.
The whole place looks like that movie Summer of 42, you know, where you're running around with a sweatshirt and shorts on. And there's no one around. Ted, how are you? Oh, here's Justin. Justin in Montreal.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Ron, have you ever been to northern Quebec fishing?
Not northern, no. Just when I was a kid, just the southern parts of Quebec.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, my grandfather used to be a fishing guide up in northern Quebec, Lake Mistissini. It's one of the biggest freshwater lakes in Quebec, and you can catch about pretty much every type of fish. And the size of the fish get pretty damn big as well.
Oh yeah, I mean they're a walleye there to drag you out of the boat. I mean they're just gigantic.
Yeah, and there's a picture my grandfather has where he's holding a trout. It's the size of him, and yeah, he's a pretty tall guy. We're both over 6 feet tall, and it's a pretty damn big fish.
So that was your summers growing up, huh?
Yeah. He would just take me out on the boat. We'd spend hours just going to the best spots. And he passed away recently, and I definitely miss him a lot. But he was a hell of a man, definitely.
Well, just think of the memories that he gave you as a kid. I mean, it's just stunning to think about sharing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. He really was a man of the older generation. He completely he lived his life on the land, and he's what we would call the last great man.
Oh, that's fantastic that you have that. Now, Chris, on the other hand, his dad taught him to be a lookout. Mm-hmm. So
make this noise. Make a bird sound if you see someone coming.
Why in New York would you make a bird sound?
Really going to stand out like that.
Ted in Providence, how are you?
Hey, cousins, what's happening? Happy 4th.
Same to you, my friend.
It's Ted from Narragansett Beer, by the way.
All right. What's up?
Crush it like Quinn.
Did you guys love it?
Ted is
Did
what
you
I
guys
do.
loved it?
Love it. Love
So
Narragansett.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So, By the way, if you guys ever want to come to southern New England, I'll be more than happy to point you in the right directions as to where to get some oysters and a beer and a lobster roll or whatever.
Sounds fantastic.
But, yeah, like around here, the water doesn't really get swimmable until now. My wife is from Cape Cod, and it's never swimmable. The water is freezing until August up there.
Yeah.
And so I got I got my first kid coming at the end of the month, so that's kind of limiting my summer traveling. But I got a buddy, him and his wife and their 3-year-old are doing a 6-week road trip across Canada. Like that, doing it with a 3-year-old, it gave me hope for the future. But like, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, you've got to have that kind of time to take that kind of road trip.
Right.
Now, they driving out and back?
Yeah, I think they're going east to west. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't mind the driving one way, but to see it the second time, I'm like, nah, it's got to start and stop. So we always did this when the kids were little. We would fly to one place, rent a car, and then start.
Right.
So, like, you fly into Denver, drive all around, and we left out of Phoenix. And,
right. And once, we went up to South Dakota one time, and we went down, like Arizona, Nevada, that kind of way.
And then you get back on a plane.
Right,
you know what I mean? It's the driving, the unscenic part that's hard on a family.
Yeah.
When the kids can look out the window and be like, yay! But when they're seeing fucking cornfields or off ramps,
right.
they're unbearable to be around. Yeah. Are we there yet? No, dude. I already told you. 1,200 miles is how far we're driving. That's why the movie Vacation is so great, because the father is so wired. Like, you realize the only one who really needs that vacation is this guy who's already edgy and weird.
Dealing with all this shit.
Yeah. And he's, he also doesn't really know his kids that well as the wife does. Like, he's seeing them around and shit.
Yeah.
But I think it's impossible to stay in a car with anyone and not, at least have blow-ups.
Hate builds on a long road.
When dudes get together and, like, we're all driving to Miami.
It's fun for
Well, somebody's the butt of the joke. Someone's the asshole.
By the time you get out of New York, it's already getting a little weird.
There was a guy who jumped out in Miami and said, "I never fucking want to see any of you again." And then the car drove away and came back like a half an hour, and he was just sitting there with his bag, pissed off.
Sure.
He was like, "Get in. Come on, we were all crazy." Yeah, I don't know, 6 weeks. Well, our buddy was talking about taking that drive as far up as he could go, Chris.
Yeah, Brooks Whalen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to go, he's postponed it, but yeah, the plans are still there to go all the way to the top.
Show the map to Gail. This is ridiculous. So he's going to drive out of California.
Yeah, drive out of California.
Go straight up through Canada, through Alaska, and there's something like the last 200-300 miles is just only trucks on it. You're not going to run into any.
It's at the top.
Anyone that isn't doing any kind of trucking work. There's no one there for any reason other than to go up and haul shit down.
The top of Alaska is where he wants to go.
It's crazy. I mean, we did, just the length of California, and that's a long trip.
Yeah.
Like now, I mean, how many hours are you thinking?
Oh, you're talking, weeks. Driving like that.
He was going to go to Dead Horse, Alaska.
But I've said this before doing road trips. I've never been to a state and not seen beauty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like any state that you go to, which makes me think that it's got to be true of the world. You know what I mean? Like anywhere in the world is beautiful. By the way, I saw this today. Look, that's his trip.
73 hours.
That's insane.
73 hours of driving. So if you did 10 hours a day, that's fucking, 7 days. And obviously he's going to push harder than that, which just him and his chick, by the way.
In a tent.
Yeah. He's the type of, hey, man, I have a tent that I pop up quick. I got some beef jerky. Always keep a couple jugs. Like, he doesn't seem like he pays that much attention to the downside. There's certain people that they'll just sleep outside and be like, this is great, man. Yeah. Like, they'll go to their friend's house and sleep in the backyard.
Yeah. But you don't have to put us up.
All right, I'm gonna.
I've had friends like that.
I got this. Yeah, I know. Or we'll keep our fucking van and sleep in it in your driveway. And you're like, well, I have neighbors, and they might not like to know that there's strangers sleeping
This
outside.
place is starting to look like a commune cult type thing.
There's one state out of the 50 states that, as of right now, no commercial airlines fly into. For Stanley, you're the first one to go.
All right. No
commercial airlines. You can't get a commercial flight to this state.
Utah.
No.
I'm just throwing it out.
Obviously no.
Okay, all right, fine.
Joey Jojo, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Wyoming.
No.
Okay.
No, you're out. Yes.
All right. So I have 2 mines.
Mm-hmm. Don't give it away or they'll jump on it.
I'm going to say... Okay, this is a weird one, and I'm going to be laughed at. But I'm going to say Rhode Island, because there's neighboring...
You never should have brought that up, though. You should have just said Rhode Island. Because your thing is right, but it's not Rhode Island.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Your logic was dead on, and your logic now belongs to the room.
Idaho.
No.
New Hampshire.
Not New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
No.
It is...
No.
Vermont?
No.
Oh, God. North Dakota.
You don't even try.
I am trying.
Oh, boy. I'm gonna go with the Connecticut.
No.
Why does he mispronounce every state?
To annoy. You don't know how that annoys people. Too, when they hear their home mispronounced. Drives them nuts.
Going to the cut.
Okay, hold on. No. Delaware?
Delaware it is.
Big prize closet jail.
Ow!
Tell her what she wins.
You win a U.S. map, but you don't need it. You just won.
Yes.
He always tells you one thing and then changes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're having chocolate cake for dinner tonight.
Yay!
No, we're not. We're having chip beef.
God damn it.
It also belongs to Steve. That's literally anything he has to say. He says something better first and then says the worst thing.
Stop disappointing us.
And then he'll go like this. Oh, I thought you were going to like it.
Thought I had you.
We're going to Hawaii, but we got to stop through Nevada.
Here's Bill in Ontario. How you doing, Bill?
Very well, thank you, Ron. How you doing?
Good.
I'd like to say that I was pretty disappointed when Fez retired, but your daughter is completely delightful, and the show is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much, my friend. It's very nice to say.
You're delightful.
So happy Canada Day, by the way. This is our July the 4th up here. We have
Happy Canada Day, everybody.
Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day.
Again to Hardfisker, Happy Canada Day. How many days do they get?
They got plenty of time.
So in keeping with your Grateful Dead week, I have kind of an interesting story. Myself, I'm not a fan, but my brother was a maniac for Grateful Dead, so much so that they put stickers on his casket when he was buried. But in 1989, him and his buddies went and did a whole camping trip through Europe, and the whole thing was following the Grateful Dead all across. And they just happened to be playing on the 9th of November in Berlin, and he was in the concert doing drugs, of course, and he came out, and that's the night the wall came down. And he came out of the concert, and the city was just, I don't want to say on fire as in rioting and looting, but like any celebration, there's always assholes that are going to,
sure,
smash and grab and stuff. But he phoned home and said, World War III has started. Like they were not aware of what was going on. It wasn't really public knowledge that, this was the coming of freedom and such. And he just saw people running through the streets with torches and booze and going nuts. He phoned home in a panic and said, "Oh my God, World War III is." I mean, of course, he was, probably on acid, whatever, out of his mind, and it was interesting that he was there for that event, and I regret not seeing the Grateful Dead for only one time in my life. Would have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, that would be a phenomenal thing. But I remember that night too because there was uneasiness as well. You're like, "Oh shit!" Now,
very much so.
Wow, yeah. What happens now? It's like we feel with Greece right now, and then there's trouble in the banking in Puerto Rico, and you start to look, is this going to tip all the dominoes over? Is no money going to be worth anything?
This is the start, isn't it? Isn't it?
Well, yeah. You may remember the Western government decided to give all the Eastern people coming over a certain amount of money Like everybody got 20 marks or something to spend when they came across the wall. I think that was just to prevent them from burning and looting and stealing and running riotly.
Well, I remember when that started to drip, like some people would go and they would still be getting shot, and then a few more. They're like, well, if you'll watch now, look at these people are running through, and no one's shooting at them. We're starting to see some of the guards just wave to people, give thumbs up, and you were like, what has happened to the world that I knew? All right, thanks. Julio in Colorado.
Hey, Ron. Hey, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Love the show.
Thank you, my man.
Hey, so growing up as a kid, I used to take flights out to Florida to spend the summer because here in Colorado we don't have very much water. And, we used to make a trip out of going to all the beaches, just a small road trip. And I kind of found out the hard way why the Florida beaches are kind of empty. And because as a kid, I used to get my legs tore up by jellyfish, just everywhere. And on the flip
beach had the most jellyfish?
So I would go to Cocoa Beach. That was the first time I ever got stung really bad. My sisters did as well.
But that's a nice, refreshing beach. There. Yeah. Really nice, cold moving water.
Yeah, and Daytona as well. I got stung.
Yeah.
And then I went to a beach in Miami when I was really small, and I remember getting stung there too, and it was just terrible. And I noticed that's why I don't see very many people in the water.
Well, it's very weird when you think of how many people live in Florida and, how few of them. First of all, the other weird thing is most of them have their boats and don't take it out in the ocean. They're just in those little passageways along there.
What was that called? Like the intercoastal?
Intercoastal,
on the,
just like little
Gulf.
waterways that are set up because all the beaches are like really just sand barges off. So people just keep their boats, and then you're like, you ever take it out deep? No. It's where the fish are. I don't want to be out there at all. Like to ride around from bar to bar with girls in the front of my boat.
I've been stung by jellyfish a couple times, but the worst was like on the stomach. It's like such sensitive skin there. It was the worst. Just slid right across my stomach.
God. Well, let's not let that ruin the day. You lay on the blanket and the rest of us are going to swim.
I'm in a lot of pain, guys.
I know. Yeah. Well, later we're going to get some ice cream. So it's a good day for you. You put that right in your stomach. Last night was one of those, it was kind of a great summer night because you had the women's soccer team playing. And as this thing moves along, more and more people show up every year.
Yeah.
And last night it was a fucking madhouse. And there I am. I don't follow women's soccer at all, but it was life and death to me until we got that second goal.
That was an incredibly exciting game.
Well, it was a very physical game. It was the most physical women's game I've ever seen in my life, women's game, where, they were just bashing each other and two heads smashed together and blood all over the field. And they're getting up and they're still going.
That one German chick is like just covered in blood.
It's against the rules. You can't be out there when you're bleeding. Do they forget their own rules?
Yeah. And she was bleeding a lot.
Yeah.
Like you could see it pulled up at the top of her head and it was just like running down her neck.
There's the shot right there.
Oh,
and
damn.
that blonde girl, look at the amount of blood coming out. But it wasn't overly a good game, but it was a physical, and the crowd started screaming at the beginning of that game all the way through.
Yeah. It was super exciting. I forget the name of the girl who had the first goal, and then she had the assist for the second goal. She just had a phenomenal game. And it's always exciting when somebody gets like that World Cup moment, and they hadn't like.
You know that they will be there. That's going to come up the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about Caitlyn Jenner. It was, I think 39 years ago, just about now. No one knew who Bruce Jenner was when he went in. When he came out, he was America's favorite star. And he rode that act for 39 fucking years. And now cut the second wave of, all you got to do is do a sex change and people pay attention. Here's two things for Caitlyn Jenner. Number one, figure out what to do with the shoulders. You're walking bad. Number two, and there's two pictures in the paper today. Ladies don't keep their mouth open, Caitlyn. You got to remember, you can't walk around like a dude with your mouth open. Men can get away with it somehow. But to see a lady with her mouth open, it's strange. So these are new rules. This will all be part of Caitlin's new, learning experience.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah. Keep the mouth shut.
She's always got that thing wide open.
Yeah. But that was a very, very exciting night.
Yeah. I love that team too. Like, I love those girls.
See, I'm caught up with, like, I think the 98 team.
Yeah.
To me, they're like the 1980 version of the American team. But they said one of the reasons that we do good is that no other country in the world has as many little girls playing as we do. So in this country, when a girl is 5, 6, 7 years old, there's leagues that she can play in with the boys. It's not too physical, and then you move your way up. Because if you don't learn something when you're that little, you're probably never going to be an expert at it.
You kind of have to learn all the basics and like the mechanics of even how to move with a soccer ball. It's like insane to think that.
But every sport is that way. Every sport, like, okay, you can go from 0 to 9 at a fairly good rate of learning a sport. But then they go from 9 to 9-1 and 9-2, take incredible amounts. And that's what happens in baseball. Like, I did Dream Week with these ball players. So we go down there, we're going to play some ball. And I'm like, I played ball through my whole... you get there and you're like, oh shit, these guys have thought a real lot about baseball. Like, they're talking about taking a lead and where you should feel it in what part of your toe when you're leaning forward, and your way of snapping back. You're like, oh, I see.
Gotcha.
So you're just really breaking this game down, not just running out with a glove and fucking dive. Like, thinking it's great when you dive for stuff.
Taking a whack at a ball.
Like most of the plays that any of us would make a circus catch at, it doesn't look important to them because they've already got themselves there quicker than we would. They try to turn every step into a half step and then every step into a quarter step. We never fucking think that way. So that happens with every sport. That's why now they don't want kids to play sports the way we did when we were younger. They want you to pick one sport and stay with it.
Right.
Well, we played every sport. Like the second the new season started, threw your old shit out off your end. They're like, no.
Pick something, get good at it.
But that's kind of sad because you don't get the experience because no one makes the majors, no matter what the sport is. I think it's really funny now when you see how much the pro baseball league is Hispanic, right? And then you look at college baseball and you just watch the baseball World Series and stuff. And you're like, this is the most lily white sport now that we have in America.
Yeah.
It's just white kids playing. There's no black kids. You never see a lot of like Hispanic Americans. It's just those island guys are just flying into the country and it's again because when they were really little, they just start to work out like, I gotta get off this fucking island, not just for me, but for my whole family. They just throw themselves into it as a little child.
Now, of the women's sports, do you think that women's soccer is the most followed? Like, I know that they have a hard time with, getting people excited about women's sports. Well, but do you think the women's soccer is like the
women's
biggest?
Basketball is big in college. Big in college. Women's volleyball has come up amazingly.
Yeah.
Especially that beach volleyball with the tiny little things.
Yeah. They found an in of marketing that. Even yesterday I was watching they're doing the slow motion of Hope Solo, taking a swig of water and pouring it on themselves. I'm like, I wonder if that would be a shot I know the men love Hope Solo.
Yeah, but if you even look in that crowd last night, there was a lot of women fans. And
I saw that.
That's what it would really take for women's sports to be big. Like, women are always yelling, why aren't there more sports on ESPN? There should be, women have to support women first.
Right.
But college softball is a very big sport. Women's sports are pretty big in this country, I think, compared with the rest of the world. Women's basketball is taking huge leaps,
Yeah.
And most of that stuff happened within, the last few years, last 30 years or so. that women's sports have gotten really large. But these, women's soccer players, there's girls there that, particularly our defensive line, that plays so smart, and there's just off the foot speed. I don't know this girl's name, but I was watching her through this whole tournament, and her first step is so quick that it's shocking.
Megan Rapinoe is the one I love. She's my girl.
I got her, and the other
her.
one are they're like old lionesses, though, man.
Yeah.
It's the new girls coming up that are carrying the team this time. Carlos in Delaware.
Hey, I don't want to rain on your parade, but the men's sports, they subsidize all those women's sports. Like the NBA pays for the WNBA to survive.
Well, why would that have anything to do with anything? It's owned by the NBA.
They're not entertaining to watch these women run around the court with the hairy arms.
Well, first of all, we're not even talking about that. And second, show me one hairy arm in women's basketball. What I was really talking about is on.
Griner, she talks like a guy.
What's that?
Brittany Griner, she talks like a guy.
Mm-hmm. And that means what?
I don't know.
Exactly. That's the exact part of this. I'm saying if you just watch the sport itself, no matter what college sport that we're talking about, all these things, the level that they play at now compared to the level that they played at 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's astronomically different. It reminds you of where men's sports went from like the 20s to the 1960s and 70s.
Yeah.
Just huge.
Hey, I agree with that, Ron. I agree with that. But what you said about these kids, they got to pick one sport, that's a big problem because LeBron James, all these guys, they all grew up and they all played all the sports. That's how they get good, not by picking one.
Well, now they want the kids to play at a high competitive level very early on, and they're starting to have travel schools and shit like that. And it is, it does take, even though you might get better at one sport, it takes away that experience of childhood.
Yeah.
Because like I say, most people are not going to be a shortstop. All you really do is go, I used to play baseball, so I know exactly what that guy's doing. Just makes you a better, less stupid fan.
Yeah, I mean, there are also sports you play as a kid that maybe you're not any good at, but you love playing it.
Yeah, most. I mean, that was the thing about baseball is like nerdy boys could fall in love with stats, you know what I mean?
Right.
And still feel really connected. But the amount, because I coached some youth soccer and they showed us this thing before you could get your license. I've coached basketball and baseball, but they show you this thing. And it's something like 90% of the kids who start playing sports stop by the time that they're 14 years old.
Yeah.
It's just over for them. So for 90% of the kids, you're just trying to teach them the game, you know what I mean? So that they can enjoy sports and not sound like an idiot when they get older. And you go to a bar and a lot of guys talk like morons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not following the game. And that's why a lot of people like to see a football game that's 62 to 59 because they don't understand the fucking game at all.
Right.
They just know it's time to yell because we scored. Let's do the funny dance.
Playing baseball was about having fun. I mean, as a kid, like I was on a team, a fucking CYO team, but it was about having fun. And of all the kids I played baseball with, one kid made a AA. And even that was like really impressive.
But that is impressive.
Yeah.
That's a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
But I never thought it was as fun as you're acting because it's fun to play pickup with your friends.
Yeah, in the park.
But there's pressure. You see kids crying in Little League.
Yeah.
I never saw anyone crying in a fucking Sandlot game in my life. Here is Garrison in Wisconsin.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Hey, Gail.
Hey, what's up?
I think soccer is it's like one of the only co-ed sports like throughout from youth all the way up to high school. A lot of programs, they don't have very big programs, so the girls have to compete with the guys, so it brings their level up so much higher.
Well, yeah, you have that, but you have to remember, in a lot of countries, they wouldn't dream of co-ed soccer. You know what I mean? Like they would be going, "This is the worst thing a young lady can be doing. This makes her look like whore."
A lot of the sports that we have, they segregate so much. You have a couple girls now that are playing football or baseball or whatever, but you don't really, even basketball, you have girls basketball and boys basketball, but soccer is generally such a small program that it melds everybody together.
Well, particularly when they're really little. I don't know by the time you get to high school, but at 5 and 6, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny. It's just kids running around kicking a ball.
I remember that when that change happened.
High school by me is still, you know, it's a co-ed deal.
I had no idea that.
If you have, well, there's not that many kids that go out for it. Most kids are basketball or hockey or football or, you know.
I don't know. I think there's more kids playing youth soccer than they play Little League baseball. I don't even think, and certainly the youth football leagues, particularly in the last couple of years of head injuries and shit, you don't see as many kids playing. I mean, I think now if you said, oh, my 7-year-old is playing youth football, it's like if you said to people, oh, my 7-year-old does nothing but drink Kool-Aid. That's all they do.
He smokes.
It just makes you look like a bad parent for no apparent reason. Here's Mike in Cleveland.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Hey, I disagree about that starting kids at 5, 6 years old in sport. I honestly think a kid could get burned out on organized sports before.
I never played until I was much older. But see, the thing is, the kids don't get together and play on their own. Like, I knew how to play baseball.
Yeah.
And had played every day of the summer when I was a kid. But when I started coaching, they brought kids were on my team that had never caught a ball before.
Yeah.
And they thought my job, and these were 10-year-olds, and they were like, part of my job was just to teach them to play catch first. I'm not saying the whole team.
Right.
I'm saying, like, there was 2 kids that they had never picked up a bat.
That's weird.
I'm like, why did you join? That's a weird thing to do.
My mom made me.
I agree with you there. But, you know, I've seen kids, you know, burn out before their athletic ability, before they're able to even develop.
I had friends that blew out their arms throwing curveballs in Little League. And then now they say don't throw curveballs, but if you can, you're going to. But, you know,
Get that shit out there.
but they did. They blew out their arms at a very early age. It was weird.
All right. Anyway, you have a good day, sir.
You too. You know, the other thing about that was, what's always strange in youth sports is that the best kids are normally the little kids because they have control of their bodies. Yeah. And then if they don't grow, right, the college is going to want a guy that's 6'3", no matter what, before he wants some guy who is 5'6", 5'7".
Well, you were saying there's that huge drop-off in organized sports after 14, and that's really the age where you start to see, like, whoa, I'm not going to be so tall. I'm not going to have an athletic body, and you start to, like, figure that out. Yeah, but when you're young, everybody's kind of the same size or about the same size, and you're just going by what skill you have. It's not about your body at all.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. But also at 14, then there's suddenly girls, there's computers, there's fucking music, and like you're saying to yourself, if I can't do this at a high level, why am I still playing? It's stupid.
Where are we going with
yelling at me? You know, I was watching the thing with some people talking about P. Diddy's kids, right? And the one that he got in a fight over. Yeah. And one of the people on TV said, and from what I understand, the boy is not that talented. Well, he's playing at UCLA, which means he's probably more talented in football than anyone that you ever hung out with in your life, right? I mean, that's a high level. That's you're starting to get into the 1%, right? Before you can play at UCLA. And that's, like I said, you start to divide, you know, those things. Like, we're saying a kid who was, if you go to, let's say, Alabama, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody who went there was the star of their high school. Everybody. And then you find out that, wait, I'm not the star at Alabama, you know?
No.
And then everybody in the pros was the star of their college. And how many guys on any football team do we consider a star? 3? Tops? 4? You know? 4 guys that you're like, well, and then they'll literally turn around and you'll see people go, yeah, he played for ball, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
The guy that you brought up is on the Bar Rescue. And you're saying...
the picture.
The he sucked. And I'm like...
he stinks.
He played 10 years or 12 years of pro ball, including playing in Japan,
And
which is
Mexico.
ridiculously hard.
You played in the Mexican League.
And AAA ball, AA ball, it's way, I mean, that's pro ball, you know?
Yeah, I know. He obviously had the skills to get to Major League Baseball.
Right.
But it just blew my mind that, $14 million over the course of his career and a 54 ERA towards the end.
Well, again, he was a reliever, right?
Yes.
So if you come in and give up a fucking run or two,
good point.
The ERA is destroyed. You get this short period of time to get people out. If they start to rip your tits, forget about it. James.
Yeah, hey Ronnie, I love the topic. I have a daughter who really isn't into sports, but I've watched women's golf change dramatically over the last 25 or 30 years.
Absolutely.
And if you watch the ladies tour now, which is self-supporting, they don't need help from anyone. There's women out there who can play. I'm not going to say they're going to beat the top 10 guys on the pro men's tour, but there's women out there who can keep up with just about any dude.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why women's golf is self-supporting is because you can make that off of corporate sponsorships and stuff like that. And the women's basketball or soccer needs to fill a stadium. And, the same thing of getting eyeballs on it. The only eyes that would really matter are women's eyes. You're not going to win the men over, But when people say stuff like, well, they'll never play at the level of men's, the college football isn't on the level of fucking pro, and people watch that. I mean, you're saying to yourself, on Saturday, I'm going to watch a much lower level of football than I do on
Worst
Sunday.
product.
There's billions of dollars for college basketball. There's only how many of those guys that move in from college basketball to pros?
Almost like the draft happened last week, and it's God knows what's going to happen with any of those guys.
CJ in California.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good.
Hey, a few things really quick. I coached girls competitive soccer, and we graduated from the rec leagues up to the competitive leagues. That's a grind, man. And the girls do drop out at 14 because you're playing all year long. It's not a season. You play all year.
Yeah.
So you girls just drop out because they just get bored. Same coaches just can't handle that, and the parents do. Second of all, I like the women's pro sport. The soccer, they were talking about like Abby Wambach, and she's like, I'm here with my wife, and they're more outspoken about their sexuality. Like you can never see a football game and a star player, even for college kids, go, yeah, I'm here with my husband. It's almost more acceptable. I don't know why that is.
Well, because again, there's gays in fashion where there's not gays. You know what I mean? Like it's because there's an environment where that's acceptable. That women's sports accept gayness in the same way that the fashion industry or the entertainment industry in Hollywood has always accepted gays. It's just more of that social scene and nothing else. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nothing else. It's just more acceptable in that area. Jason in Houston.
Hey guys, I've been playing soccer all my life, and I can tell you the change in women's soccer. I play with and against them, and in 1991 when I was playing against ladies, they weren't fast, they weren't skilled, and they're just a huge gulf. 10 years later, I started getting all this level athlete women on my team. These girls were faster. These girls were more competitive. And in several cases, I'd have girls, I'm fast, I'm strong, and I'm skilled. And in several cases, I had girls that were better than me. And at first, I was shocked. Then I started adding to my team because the difference, they're faster than some of the guys. They're as skilled as all the guys.
I think it's also a mistake to act like that's true across the board. You couldn't take any of these women's teams and have them compete at the same level as men. But on the other hand, they don't have to. It's not really that important to what we're talking about.
It's not so much that women are getting probably stronger or faster. It's that like the interest is there and something turns culturally where it's suddenly a bunch of people are now being like, oh, okay, now we can teach women how to play soccer. You know what I mean? It's more like everything else is coming up to the level.
Well, yeah, first of all, yes. If let's say you went back to the 1960s or 70s, you didn't introduce it to them when they were younger. You didn't train in the same way that you would train, and the expectations were different. I remember when they used to, like girls basketball, they would be like wearing like little skirts and stuff like that. And they would set up this weird square thing so there was more passing and less dribbling, you know what I mean? And now, of course, they just play in the same style. Whatever the winning strategy to play would be done. They don't set it up to be different.
Put your basketball skirts on, everybody.
Quincy in Texas.
Yeah, I just want to know, do you think that will there ever be a NFL for women?
I worry that there'll even be an NFL for men in the future. I mean, if there's ever a sport that's doing incredibly great and you get concerned about its longevity, it's the NFL, because it doesn't move outside of this country. And, you know, all sports are turning crazy global right now.
As hard as they've tried, they push it in England, but that's England. It's not the rest of the world.
And has it...
It's playing to expats there. It's not playing to English people.
Now, has there been any advancement with it being a more international sport at all, or no?
They've tried a couple times, but I wouldn't say... Again, those people have to be introduced to the sport as children. It takes, and when people think, oh, the NFL, it's the best thing. You didn't even fucking feel that way in this country until the late 50s. Then then they were like on par with baseball in the 60s, and then finally passed them in the 70s. But that sport started 40 years before.
Yeah, and baseball.
But let me also tell you this, and this is why soccer, I think, is kind of a growing sport. That game that we watched last night, would it have been as exciting if it was Boston against St. Louis? Well, you wouldn't have sat around going crazy. The American international thing, I don't care what you're watching. Is it paddleball? If it's the U.S. against somebody, I'm like, let's beat their asses.
Yeah, World Cup, men's and women's both, have that going for it, where it's like not only is it international, but it being a once every 4-year event, it's huge. It's like, it could not be more exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at England, they haven't done well in World Cup in a long time, and they lay on the ground after they're out. I mean, it just kills them. Yeah, it kills them,
destroys the entire country.
Yeah, which this is kind of great. When, let's say, the Cavs against Golden State, we all watch because we're sports fans. But you don't live in, like, the entire country to live and die with something. Yeah. And that's what last night was exciting about. It was filled with Americans going crazy, and you're at your house, and you're like, we've got to beat these Germans. And you're saying, a couple awful little things. You're bringing up Hitler.
Of course.
And, you know what I mean? Whatever. Oh, Ava Braun. Just nice fucking shot, Ava Braun, when that girl had the shittiest penalty shot I've ever seen in my life. But that's the excitement level that it brought up, just being international. Here's Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, my niece, she's a great softball player, plays here in Illinois. She was 4-year varsity, 4-year all-conference, 3-year all-state, and she just got a scholarship to play bowling in New Jersey at Monmouth University.
Mm-hmm.
So, playing 2 sports is actually a good thing. Playing 3 sports, it keeps you fit for whatever sport. Plus,
and also mentally, just to do something new. It's like in the same way that you don't want to do the same workout every day or whatever because it starts to catch up with you. There's something good about it. But I could totally get it if you think this kid has a chance to make big money in one sport, why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, push that kid.
But I always laugh at people who are like, he's a pro and he could play baseball and football. This is like every kid you ever knew in your life.
Yeah.
Every quarterback was also always a pitcher and probably a forward on the basketball team. It's not that unusual until you make it that way. Kendall, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron. Before I get into what I was calling about, did you know that college is going over to Australia? Baylor's planning to play their home opening football game in a couple of years in Australia.
I've heard it. I mean, and what would be in that for Baylor? You know what I mean? Like, that's what gets to you. How does that benefit? I could see the NFL wanting to do that.
Yeah.
But why are we using college kids to do shit like that?
Are they looking for more people just to invest? I mean, that seems like that's all it would be.
Yeah.
Just get boosters on another different continents.
Very weird.
Well,
Crazy.
as a Baylor fan, I'm excited about it. So, yeah, I guess it's just to get the fan base riled up.
Yeah,
Why be excited about going to Australia, though? Unless you're, like, going there, then they pay for you to go out there as a fan.
Let's go, Chris. You and me. Road trip, buddy.
Yeah, road trip to Australia. Can't wait.
You're both Baylor fans.
Yeah, I love Baylor. This is way back.
Let's see if you can find it on a map.
All right.
Not Google.
Oh, not Google. I'm bringing up
Just
a
tell
map.
us where you think it is.
Missouri?
You don't even know the state that it's in.
Oh, Chris. Breaking my heart. Not
Louisiana.
Really, damn.
No.
Alabama.
You're seriously 0 for 3 already.
Really? Texas.
There you go, big indoor.
4.
But what I was going to say was I enjoy watching women's soccer because it's the same game as men's soccer. I don't enjoy watching women's basketball because it plays so differently. And I think that, I can accept softball because they just call it a different game. To me, men's and women's basketball, it just plays so differently. And that's
But I would say the same thing about college basketball and pro basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of reasons that people prefer one or the other over that. But women's soccer, women's tennis, women's golf, I enjoy watching all of those. Women's track because it plays the same as the game that.
It's an interesting point. I've never heard anyone really bring that up. I'm going to have to give it a look. But like I said before, I don't know if it matters whether or not women ever play, to more people or we got more millionaires or whatever. I don't know if that's the point. I'm only saying that the leaps that women's sports have had, but I never think it's going to be big if you got to wait for men. I think if women do not support women's sports, it won't get bigger, much like women politicians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have to wait for men to like them, then you're playing the wrong game. Hey, Chris, you got a couple prizes you need to give out.
Yes, I do. From yesterday's post on the iBang, it's the impossible movie sequels you don't want to see anytime soon. 2 people won prizes in the comment section with their film ideas.
Huh?
Seton
Where
Dad.
is he in this? So you in Missouri, then Alabama, then Louisiana?
Seton Dad 36 with formerly famous. 20 years after breaking up, Stillwater meets up again at Penny's funeral and decide to go on a reunion tour. And
I was here for this and don't understand you. Just say who won. That's all you got to do.
Lone Dinosaur and Seton Dad 36.
All right, for going over the iBang and playing along with our game from yesterday, I'm going to demand that you go back and listen to what you just did.
Crazy rambling?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was crazy thick-tongue rambling. And no reason for it. No reason. It was that thing that you were saying about being so drunk before.
Oh, sure. But I'm sober.
During the daytime.
No, I'm sober.
Well, I'm happy for them. Way to go, guys.
We were talking about the Montreal Comedy Festival is coming up very, very shortly. And Chris, you tell us that you have a secret guest that the Montreal Comedy Festival has set us up with to talk about it.
Super secret, yeah. And they're coming in, yeah.
This is exciting.
Yes, this is exciting. And it just goes to prove that Chris Stanley, best producer in the 48 states. I don't know enough about Alaska and Hawaii. I
Just
can't do it.
continental.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to look into this.
There's some great Hawaiian radio producers.
Didn't realize.
Well, do you ever hear us playing any ukulele music? Because you ain't fucking staying on top of it.
Yeah, you're not pushing it.
I'm trying to keep them behind me.
Why? Sexual reasons?
That's how you like it, huh?
He was on the iBag yesterday.
What?
And he's their incredible justification of what they've been doing over the last 24 years. And it's amazing thought. So, as we get started into this, let me just say to everyone, congratulations, you all winners. No one knows who's done what. But Single Force, 1960, said this little ditty. He said... What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm watching the flop sweat grow.
Congratulations, Seton Dad 36 and Lone Dinosaur. Congratulations.
What do they win, Chris? What do they win?
Lone Dinosaur wins Traffic, signed by Dennis Quaid.
Oh.
And then Seton Dad 36 wins Star Trek First Contact, signed by Alfred Woodard.
See, it seemed like if you were pushing the prizes,
Yeah, that would
above the crazy talk, we'd all be
Better
onto
idea.
something. You know?
Yeah.
But you didn't know you were going to be doing it, or you did? You had that paper in front of you?
No, I had that paper in front of me. And it's typed out right here.
And you knew it for 24 hours.
Yep, knew it. Right there it is.
Now, this might be manifest destiny, who knows? But the fact of the matter is it's all taken care of. All right, we need to break here.
Yeah, we have our secret Montreal guest coming up.
All right, this is Bennington.
This is Bennington. Raw Dog Comedy Hits. Sirius XM 99.
Chris just blasted the entire thing in here and almost killed us. Is there a reason that you do that?
That was a mistake. There was no reason.
No, the mistake that you're talking about, Chris, is it taking the job here? I want you to be honest with me.
No, it is not.
Is this a job that you can't or don't want to do? That would be a great place to start this.
No, where to start is a job I can and do want to do.
Now, this is your problem, and I'm going to say the same thing to Joey Jojo. You don't know what you're capable of, okay?
All right.
You aim low, and then you go lower. Let me tell you a story about somebody right now.
All right.
Both of you, get out of your chairs and come over here and sit at my feet.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what? Take your pants and shoes off, Tom.
All right, I'm doing it right.
All right, I guess.
I want to tell you the story about a man who aimed high and landed even higher. That's Tito Beveridge. Now, he could have acted like you guys, like a never was, a wannabes, a couldn't be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He could have said to himself, I'll settle and just be a slack-jawed nobody. But he had a dream. A dream that was one time called the American dream. Now it's too unique to be called that. You dream big, okay?
Okay.
Big like the people who came to this country and said, I see all this wilderness, I can do something with it. That's what Tito did. He didn't go, oh, where's the future?
Yeah.
Where's the future? Let me try to jump on the next trend.
Yeah.
He did something for himself and then other people enjoyed it. And I'm talking about Tito's Vodka. Do you think that America was sitting around for years saying to themselves, what we really need is a vodka that comes out of Austin, Texas? That never had appeared in the Wall Street Journal once. So you, and I'm going to just call it, you limp-wristed college boys who sit around and go, where's the next thing? What am I going to put my degree to?
Yeah.
You do just the opposite if you want to make it. Old school, big time. Go for it. You have a great product. Tito was able to do that. Because somebody handed it to him? No. Because he treated it as a science. And he made that vodka time and time again for his friends. And then finally his friends were like, this vodka is so good. Where can I buy it? And he goes, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You could buy this vodka. So he went out. No one helping him. Started to mass produce it and took it store to store, bar to bar. You think the people that he was in high school with thought that was a good idea when he was at some reunion? Like, oh, Tito's doing the right thing. He's got a company of one person. No, but he believed in his product. He believed in his abilities, and he believed not only could he make a better product, but that he could distribute it, get it out to people, market it to people. And that the fact that that is seen as unique now, to me, is sad. Because that's the way every great brand in this country started at one time. A guy coming up with an idea, doing it better than anyone else, and then being able to distribute it out, not just around the country, but around the world. So, I'd like to do this. This 4th of July is coming up. I'd like to take one of the stars and make it bigger. And that star will be known on the Stars and Bars as the Tito Star.
I'll salute to that.
So that every time that you look up to a flag, you can go like, I see. You can do it bigger. You can do it greater. You can believe in yourself, believe in your product, and you can make that dream not just a fantasy. You can make it reality. Go to Tito's and check this out.
Tito's handmade vodka is distilled 6 times from 100% corn and is naturally gluten-free. Visit us at titosvodka.com for recipes, songs, and more. 40% alcohol by volume, handcrafted to be savored responsibly.
Wait, 1, 2... How many shows does this guy have again? You're listening to Bennington on Raw Dog Comedy Hits, Sirius XM 99.
Welcome back to Bennington. This is the Innovators of Entertainment, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. Distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com. And our guest today is Mr. Jeffrey Gurian.
Now, why is Jeffrey our guest today, Chris?
To talk about the Montreal Comedy Festival.
Well, it's because of the fact that Jeffrey Gurian represents comedy in the United States of America. And Montreal Comedy Festival called us and offered to book an expert on the Montreal Comedy Special. And they said, we can get you Jeffrey Gurian. I go, oh, that's who you can get us. You can get us Jeffrey Gurian. I go, we got a stool named after him here. He's so much. Jeffrey, you are Mr. Montreal Comedy Festival now.
I don't know about that, but I've been going up for a lot of years.
Yeah, now that Bobby Slayton has passed away, you were handed the title. This is your Christmas, your secular Christmas, isn't it?
This is my calling, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Slayton passed away, or did you have him killed so that I could take over for him?
Either way, the important thing is everything worked out for the best.
It worked out for the best.
Yes. Well, what is it about Montreal that you love so much?
It's comedy camp, man. First of all, this is the 33rd year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going up for maybe 25 years. Who knows? I don't even remember how long, but it's probably at least that. It's the most fun that you can have if you're a comedy person, if you're a comedy fan. People come from all over the world. They take over the city, and it's every huge star, and everybody's there, and everybody's hanging out in the lobby of the hotel. You know, the main hotel is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. And from the time that you check in, even at the airport, you're running into comedians that are coming in from all over. Everybody's in from L.A. And during the day now, they have conferences, which are amazing because you get a chance to meet the producers of the big shows, the writers of the big shows.
You mean TV
panels.
shows?
Yes, TV shows, web series. You can pitch ideas to people. You get a chance to meet people in the industry.
I would love to meet a producer of a web series.
Yes. Where could we find one?
Yeah.
It's all there.
I'm shooting right now.
There are different panels. You have a
I'm shooting myself in a web series, and I'm just saying this.
Are you periscoping? Have you done Periscope yet?
Is that a sexual thing? Because
it is.
That seems
very sexual thing. I should have asked you off the air, but
yeah. No, I don't Periscope or tweet or email. I do mail people though.
Right.
Periscoping is like while you're going down on someone, every once in a while you look up.
Oh my God!
Don't work blue, Jeffrey.
Don't
work
you
blue.
Look up and it's like a periscope.
Now, do you? So you Periscope?
No, I've heard about it though. I haven't had the courage to actually do it yet.
I think Jenny Hutt Periscopes.
Yeah.
Opie, I believe, may Periscope.
No, I do have the app. I actually do have the app. You know what? I found out at the Global Family Reunion. I went out there a couple of weeks ago where everybody was like cousins from all over the world, and people were periscoping, and they turned me on to it. And it's really fun. I did it with Lisa Lampanelli the other day. You just turn on your phone on this app, and all of a sudden you're live tweeting video.
Right.
To people. And
now, what you did, you were on AOL with Lisa Lampanelli the other day, right?
The AOL build thing, yeah.
Yeah, so was that in the chat room, or how does that work when you're on AOL together?
That was amazing. It was at the AOL building, and you show up, and it's this huge room, and they bring in their followers, their people, and NYU students, and AOL fans, and Lisa Lampanelli fans, of course. And you sit on a stage, and
you guys were in lifeguard chairs. Now, was that?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
They were at the highest chair.
The highest chairs. You feel like an infant, like my feet are dangling.
I know.
Everyone's like, it's like crazy. I thought someone was gonna have to pick me up and put me in the chair.
It's very funny because I do this. I've done enough of these that I always look to see what the setup was. Right. So as soon as this thing starts, I'm like, they've got them too far apart, and they're up in lifeguard chairs. What are they doing? A lot of stuff may look good for video, but it makes it harder to connect.
Uncomfortable for conversation.
But Lisa has this thing that when she comes in and she wants to talk, and she adores Jeffrey, she trusts Jeffrey, so boom, right away, you guys were in your magic hip-hop world.
It was amazing. I didn't even notice.
Healing and love and
healing,
devotion.
love, spirituality, life changes, taking control, empowerment is a big thing that we talk about. Sensitivity, owning your sensitivity as a strength and not as a weakness. And, she's amazing. Because I'm always thinking of you when I'm doing that. I'm always thinking, look, because what you do is amazing. To talk to somebody for a full hour is incredible with no notes, just a flow. Just a constant flow. It's an art form.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
I was talking about
okay,
you.
I went away there for a
Gail.
second. I don't know how. I didn't know. I didn't know. I just sometimes I start to daydream.
I was referencing you because it's a hard thing. People don't realize how it's really doing improv is what you're doing. Speaking of improv, but I mean. Improv is probably the hardest thing to do. Stand-up comedy may be harder than that. Improv, I appreciate it. It's not always hysterical like stand-up comedy.
I can teach you improv in just seconds. And Joey, I want to get you involved in this improv, right? So I'm going to give us all positions that we're going to do.
Okay.
We're all doing a radio show together, and we'll just have Jeffrey, you're here to talk about Montreal. And in this little thing that we're doing, Joe, I want you to produce from the other room. Okay? And start the improv. So what's going to be happening in Montreal? What are you most looking forward to?
The awards luncheon. The awards luncheon is amazing.
Right.
Now we're going to improv on that.
Just go with it. Expand
well,
it.
Look, it's Kevin Hart. Is winning for, what's he winning for? The Comedy Person of the Year.
Comedy Person, that's nice.
Person of the Year.
Because it keeps the women from getting an award.
Yeah.
But there is a woman getting a very special award, Ellie Kemper, who I just met the other night. I was so excited to meet her. She's the star of the Netflix show, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I didn't see it.
Phenomenal show.
It, yeah,
and she is so bubbly. And you know who she's married to? Michael Coleman, who came up here.
Yes, I did know that. Yeah.
With Robert Smigel. And when I went to meet her, I said, hey, I know your husband. And she goes, everybody says that. She goes, how do you know him? She was testing me. And I said, when I brought Robert Smigel up, she goes, now I believe you. Because of that. She is
She's
phenomenal.
not very trusting.
Yeah.
No, not very trusting. I guess a lot of people come over to her and try to use her husband's name. But
I saw her on a TV show called The Orifice. And it ran for a lot of years. It was a lot of fun. So who else is winning awards? Let's see if you give us the person and see if we can guess.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Jack Carter.
Yeah, we just lost him at 93. No, not Jack Carter.
Lifetime.
You have any idea? Lifetime Achievement
Is it
Award.
a person of that generation?
No, not at all. And it's the first time he's coming to Just for Laughs. The first time ever. People are very excited about it. I'll give you hints.
Okay.
Ex-SNL cast member?
Chevy Chase.
No.
From the 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I would say 80s.
I'm going to go Eddie Murphy.
No.
That's a good one.
Sandler.
No.
Adam Sandler.
All right,
As
I got
opposed
it.
to Herb Sandler.
I get it. Mike Myers.
Absolutely.
Whoa! Gail's winning everything.
Mike Myers coming
What's
up
the
for
score
the first
right
time.
now in this improv?
The score, I don't know.
They bring people in from all over the world too, right?
Yeah. Oh, the whole city is packed with tourists coming from all over the world who come to this. It's the biggest comedy festival in the world. It goes for a month, actually. The first 2 weeks are in French. The last 2 weeks are in English. It was started by Gilbert Rozan, was the founder.
That's pronounced Godfrey.
Yeah, Rozan in French, Godfrey in English. Yeah, and Bruce Hills is involved, and there's, it's run amazingly. Andy Noman does all of the galas. There are about 5 or 6 galas with big stars headlining them every night. They're televised, and they're in a place called the Place des Arts, which is right across the street from the main hotel. And
well, let me just say this, and this is going to be a surprise to everyone. They picked young people to come up and represent the fact that they've done a very funny animation. This year picked is our own Dan Perlman.
Wow, how awesome is that?
Dan Perlman, no, we won't stop, Dan. We won't stop.
Please stop.
Congratulations.
This is
Thank you
huge.
so much.
That is a real honor because it's very hard to be picked for that festival.
Now,
Yes.
you've done this. Do you know that I have done voiceover in very big video games, and so has Gail?
Really?
Yeah.
Which ones?
It's a little something called, is it Red
Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, man.
Even a little Grand Theft Auto too. I don't
And
know.
Grand Theft Auto.
All right. Well, I'd love to use you guys and
Here's my
everyone
specialty.
here. Yeah.
Here's my specialty.
Oh, what's your
Rough
special?
guy.
Yeah.
I always.
He
this
goes
is-
gruff guy.
I was like, "Brr, I don't know, I'll fight you back. It's always the same gruff character.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yo.
Now, what is your? I don't want to call it a cartoon because that might make you upset.
No, you can call it that.
All right.
Yeah. So
what
it's
is your funny paper about?
It says my little little doodles. You're moving doodles. It's called That's My Bus, and it's an animated series about a bus driver named Bill Russell. And so it's
After the old Celtic.
not like the basketball player. Why do people keep saying that?
Because his name is Bill Russell.
I know, but that's part of the joke. It's a point of contention.
okay,
Yes.
good.
So
All right, I gotta
You
go-
improv that.
Yeah, I walked into the burger joint up, and Bill Russell was there, sitting there. Maybe the biggest star I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And I've seen them all, sister. So I go like this: send that man over a cheeseburger.
Really?
I put it on your tab.
Yeah, he
You
was
did that
eating
for
it.
him?
No, not on his tab. Just
Yeah.
send him over one.
Yeah,
He'll
make
have
sure.
to pay for that.
Everybody wants to get a burger.
That's 11 rings, you get a burger. That's the currency, right? But yeah, it's super exciting because it was the only animated project accepted, and it was one of only, like you were saying, it's hard to get one of only 5 projects total.
Now, does this guarantee his stardom in the future, Jeffrey? Is
No.
this a lock?
No.
It's a step. It's
Yeah.
a step forward. And
Lock
it's a
step.
big. You could certainly put that on your resume for sure,
Yeah.
and feel proud of it.
You have a resume? Because
No, I gotta. This
gotta
is the
write that
first step toward getting a resume. Yes.
Sweet.
Oh, okay. Here's another test. Who's getting the Generation Award?
That's going to go to
This
Ben
is big.
Vereen. Ben Vereen,
right?
Yeah.
For walking on a highway.
Yeah. Oh, God
And
bless
not
him
looking.
for that.
Yeah. Thank God he survived.
Okay, so this is the best. Is it stand up of a generation?
Yeah,
Which
it's just called
generation?
The Generation Award. It says Just for Laughs is proud to present its first ever Generation Award to who? A modern icon.
I think I know this. He was in Generation X, Billy Idol.
Correct.
All right.
Wow.
They're starting to honor music stars. Ran out of comedy people.
All right. Who is
Remember when I
the-
met Billy Idol was here one day? Remember that? How
Yeah.
exciting that was. It's Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle.
He's doing 8 shows.
Yeah, they
over
had
there.
to add shows.
They
It
already
sold out so quickly.
They all sold out.
Everybody loves him, huh?
Yeah.
He's good at comedy.
He is. You got to stick with it, instead of walking off.
Yeah.
He's very low key though. When it comes to hanging out, he'll show up in the lobby. He just kind of chills, stays off to the side.
He's like, "What's up, Jeffrey?"
Just so chill.
Maybe. Yeah, very, very, very.
By the way,
He's
are you
the
going to be
best.
dressed that way, Jeffrey, when you get up there?
Oh yeah.
Because you've got a jacket and a wife beater on, and it looks fantastic.
Looks so good. And those shoes are just killing me. They're so good.
What do you like about his shoes?
They're so
He's very
great.
stylist.
Yeah.
He gets his shoes handmade.
White suede? Is that what's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on there?
white suede, yeah. It
With a
took me a long
lime
time to
green
find
sole?
those. Yeah. Most of them are blue.
So true.
Yeah. That's why he doesn't even mind if we step on his white
Oh, yeah. Step away.
Yeah, help
I
yourself.
insist that you
So,
do that. Yeah.
Chris Stanley, I noticed you haven't jumped in once for any of these awards.
You don't like comedy?
Give Chris a guess. Give Chris a thing and see if he can come up.
I'm going to nail this right now.
You should have to write a one, you idiot.
Well, they just added like a very big comedy star
Whoa.
who's going to host one of the galas. He's been on the show here.
Trevor Noah.
Robert Smith. Oh,
Trevor Noah.
Yeah,
Trevor
Trevor Noah.
Noah.
This is the thing about Jeffrey. Jeffrey's like, I want to bring Trevor Noah on. I'm like, who? Trevor Noah. He's South African. I'm like, what would he do on our show, Jeffrey? It's not. He goes, no, he's very funny. What is it? 3-4 months later, Trevor Noah, the whole country is talking about
That's
him.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
He has
Yeah.
that ability to do that.
It was funny. From the first time I saw him, I'm like, this guy's going to be huge.
You've got the. What do you think of Dan? Do you think he's going to be huge? I mean, is this thing? Is it? I mean, he's getting this animator award. Does this lock his future in as one of the biggest of all time?
I think so. I think the next step is after Trevor Noah, he'll take over that show.
Oh, that'd be great.
I mean,
that'd be great.
it's just starting, so
yeah,
it's going to be a long wait.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was just 2 steps. You
Yeah,
said
but
it was a step
here's the
before.
problem. These guys get these shows and hold on to them for 40 years.
Right.
So you'll be getting it a little late.
Mid-60s.
You'll have a chance to do another animated film.
Oh my God.
Before you get that show.
Oh, that'll be very nice.
You
Yeah.
ought to do a thing called Losing Nemo. That'd be perfect
Yeah.
for you.
Just trying to shake him. He's
Yeah.
so annoying.
That's the thing I'm most excited about, though, is just being around all those guys, just who have never gotten to see. A lot of them have never gotten to see live or anything. So
Well, that's the thing. You'll get to meet everybody that you've
Right.
always heard about. Everybody just mingles in the lobby, in the street. There's just parties.
I love street
HBO
mingling.
does a party. Canadian Broadcasting does a party. Variety does a party for the 10 top comics to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all exciting. And it's
Do the other 2,000 comedians feel bad that they're not one of the top 10 to watch?
no, because these are the new young guys.
Oh, new young guys.
They're not saying don't watch those other people.
Okay, good point.
Like you
That's a good
cannot
point.
watch the others.
Yeah.
They say that. You
So does that
cannot,
mean
you're
we're not going to be
allowed.
watched for a year? I do that, like they're putting their hands in their pockets. Just feeling back in
Very sad.
About-
feeling bad
Cannot be watched.
Just about those lists, there's just a funny thing. It's just on the iBang now about this comedian as a joke last year to parody all those lists. He did a top 1,000 stand-ups to watch in 2014 and just named literally everybody.
Everybody but Colin Quinn.
Everybody but Voss. And
Is that right?
And Voss was on the Legion of Skanks and got annoyed and said he read through it twice because he didn't know about Control F, that he could just search his name to try to find it. And so there's a great thing where he calls the comic who he never met and was like, why am I not on this list? Why is Bonnie on the list? But I'm not. The whole video's there. It was just super funny of him calling him out.
Yeah, I was supposed to do Legion of Skanks that night, and I was bumped for Voss.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I can't believe it.
I can't get on that show. I cannot get on that
It just
show.
seems like you can't reach them. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot
Maybe
of
if the-
talking about it.
Maybe
But
if the listeners would help.
I know.
Clap my hands if I'm still alive.
Clap if you believe.
Is that how it works? I never saw that show, but I do it for every game. Like if a guy's knocked out in football, I'll just start clapping, and hopefully that'll help wake him up. Jeffrey Gurian, I'm excited for you because you're going back. This is your 25th year in a row to go to Montreal.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going up from Wednesday to Sunday. Those are like really exciting days.
Leave it after brunch?
On Sunday?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And then, there's the State of the Industry thing that Andy Kindler does every year. There's the keynote speaker.
Mm-hmm. Who's the keynote speaker this year? I think Norton did it last year, right?
Yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't...
Oh, here it is. It's Jeffrey Gurian.
Oh my God!
I'm nervous.
That's great.
Writing.
Clap if you believe.
I do believe. I do believe you're alive.
That is amazing.
Did you find it, Chris?
They're just having the last 2 years. I'm not seeing what this year's is.
They're having the last 2 years this year.
Mystery keynote
Well, that's
speaker.
it. You'll have to show up to find out.
I just found out who it is. It's Gabby Hayes. So, great old actor, played all the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
That's an odd
so
choice.
It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not careful, you'll have a good time.
Oh, see, we're going to go out on that. Jeffrey Gurian, always great to see you.
Always great to
Chris,
see you
way to
guys,
book
too.
Jeffrey. You really pulled it off.
You did it.
This week. Go ahead and read
Hard
your
to get in touch with, but
Yeah.
he managed to do it.
Read your outcue.
The Innovators of Entertainment segment is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com.
We'll be right back. It's Bennington. There's good days and then there's great days, and I've never had nothing but a great day when Tommy Johnagin comes rolling in. Tommy, who's made you mad this time? Who are you upset with? It's good to see you, dude.
You too.
You haven't been back east in forever, right?
It's been a long time. Maybe close to a year. I feel like close to a year.
I know the last time had to do something to do with you being in trouble again. I'm sure that's over. You got angry with...
Yeah, I got arrested in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So it's been about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can get arrested in Cincinnati again. I think I just had to go without a year without doing it.
Then you had a pilot that everybody loved, everybody was crazy about,
Yeah.
and then
that went away.
Yeah, it just went away. And that
Not
goes with-
related to the Cincinnati incident.
That's good for a change. That your temper hasn't brought that down. But when you do something that's good, are you still at least proud of it?
I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of it. But I think I'm the same way when I got dumped when I was 24. I think in hindsight I took it way too hard.
Right.
I think I am taking this way too hard.
Now, you actually take getting a sandwich that's not done properly way too hard.
I feel.
Yeah.
All parts of my body feel.
I forget who, I was telling somebody why you're one of my favorite comics, and one of the reasons I always think that you take the stage as if you just heard some of the kids doing shit to your car. He walks out on stage, and it literally, if his opening line was "What the fuck," I wouldn't be surprised. But that's how you go through life. You always
Yeah. I do a weird thing when I come out. I didn't even notice it myself.
Yeah.
I look at, and I'm not a Mitch Hedberg, but I look at the ground for a few seconds. And it may be just because I don't want to look at the people. I think it's like I'm just delaying the fact. Well, I'm going to have to look at them eventually, but I'm going to have one more second to myself.
Because that's not a natural thing for you. You're a naturally funny person, but you're not naturally like an engaging person.
I'm too... I don't like small talk. I don't care where you're from.
Right.
I think we talked about this last time. I don't do comedy for other people. I'm maybe the only comedian that's admits.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for myself. I don't care how you feel when you laugh. I don't care if you feel better. I like the way I feel when you laugh. And that's why I do it.
Yeah.
Who does it for... That's a crazy thing to me.
Yeah.
You're doing the wrong thing if you like making people feel good.
See, I think musicians tend to be like, oh, I'm connecting with the audience. But I think comedians are like, I am now in control of this audience. I have my knee on them, and there's nothing they can do.
But don't you think a lot of comics describe it as connecting to the audience, even if that's what the truth of it is? Like, oh, I love just connecting. Do you think that they...
Yeah, but for themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I like being on Twitter because people tell me things. And then I get mad at Twitter. You know what I mean? But I don't know if they're really out there doing good for the universe. Now,
some guys think they are.
Yeah.
Some guys really think they are.
But I do think that comedy is probably good for the universe. You know what I mean? I do think it's a place that people can go, oh, okay, it is stupid. Whatever, elections.
I really think that it does great, and it does make people get through, it allows them to get through hard times, and I think it's a byproduct of selfishness. You know what I mean? It's like, we came up with this thing where I get to go out and do something I want, and I don't care about you.
Right.
And then you get to feel good at the end. It's like if you invented a car that just, the exhaust just happened to be the thing that cured cancer. And you're like, oh, shit. I thought we were just getting from point A to point B.
Good. But it would be more like this, like if you found out that the guy who brought clean water to Africa, right, only did it to make money, right? Like I get
that's a better example.
It gets me government grants and anything, and all of a sudden people invest, and then people go like, "You're a great man because what that product is." But his real skill is at making money for himself and his investors.
Right. And what are we going to do? Are we going to not let them African boys have that water now?
Yeah,
just because this guy's a dick.
Right.
I don't think so. Nobody's taking it away from him.
I think they're also boys and girls are getting a drink. I don't think
the boys.
Yeah, boys first. Let's take care of that.
I think the African boys drink it and then pour it out in front of the African girls. I read a Newsweek or something.
I didn't know whether you meant boys and like a racist thing, because I don't know how that always works out.
Oh, I don't see color.
Or a misogynist thing.
I was thinking South Africa.
Yeah.
He's taking it to the other parts. Oh, he was taking it to the other parts.
Well, that Trevor Noah is South African, but is he? Do you think, because I do agree, when we think South African, we think like Dutch guys.
Right.
You know? It's always, oh, you want to suppress people. You know?
Different than South Carolina.
So you're at Helium next week.
Yeah.
Which is a great club, and they love you
really
there.
Great.
Yeah. One of the few, like, clubs that they feel like they've got it together.
One of the, they treat the comics nice, which back to the selfish part, there's so many clubs, which I can't fault them. It's like they're doing the same thing I'm doing. There's so many clubs that are like, oh, if we put comedians here, we'll make money.
Right.
So they're like, well, we don't care about the comedians. I'll go to a club and it's my show. I'm doing the show. It's my show for whatever you want to say. It's my show for 3 days. It's mine. And then two other dudes. Who knows them? And, then act like I'm in the way.
Right.
There's sometimes been like, you know what? It wouldn't ruin things, but I could really fuck you up if I left right now. you'd have to
Yeah.
answer some calls, some tweets, refunds would happen.
In the old days, the comedian would say, right before the first show on a Saturday night, pay me. Back when they wouldn't, would sometimes stiff guys. And if you didn't pay them, they were like, then I'm not fucking going up until I have the money in my pocket, not a check, anything else. That's how terrible and
my
awful
God.
club owners are. Because you could go through this major night and they go, we had an off week,
Yeah, that's I haven't been through that, but I've definitely been to the ones where you get paid the amount you've agreed to get paid, and then the place hands you a check for twice or more what you said, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot we're supposed to mail this to the booker." So this guy's like taking 100% commission.
Oh my God.
Which is that can't be true, right? I mean, there can't be 100% commission.
I don't
legal.
think it's legal, so it must be something else. They must call it something else. But there's one where there's two comics. The opener was getting $300, and the guy closing was getting $700, and then the guy that booked it got $1,000.
That's crazy. There would also be a thing where they would say, you're going to hand out money on some of these one-nighters. Don't tell anyone how much money that you picked up. So they would basically trust either some middle or opening acts to just be their guy. You want
to work again, right?
you turn this guy into a company man.
I bring my own guys a lot to open for me. So I brought a guy to a club. I asked my agent, I was like, here's what I'm going to bring this dude. How much is he getting? They tell me he's getting $400. And it's for 2 nights, maybe 3 nights. It's more than he deserves. So we get to the club, and he tells me, he's like, "Oh, I got a weird call from the bookers, and they said that I had to pick." They were like, "Hey, do you mind picking up $200 for us when you get there?" And he's like, "I guess not." So he goes and he gets paid, and he gets $400, and the booker's asking him to mail him $200. Like the booker's like, "Yeah, half that's mine." And so I asked the girl that ran the club, I go, "Do you pay them a fee to book it?" And she said, "Yeah." And then I told my buddy, I was like, "Don't mail that money. And you forward the emails to me. We'll handle this." And I handled that. And it went back and forth, and it was so fun for me. Where I go, it makes me look bad. You guys taking money out of this kid's pocket, it makes me look bad. I tell him he's getting $400. I go, "You don't get a booking fee. I brought him. You want a booking fee, you take it from someone else." And I go, "If somebody owes you money, you need to call the club." And then my favorite part was like 6 months later, they'd been hounding this kid. And 6 months later, the dude's like, "Hey, I got some open weekends. Maybe just give me a call and see what your avails are." Like the dude's just going to be like, "Well, I guess that money's water under the bridge now." I'm going to finally answer their calls. Work's coming in.
There was a famous guy in Florida that he would have the headliners, right? And this was a party club. I mean, this was, when the audience left, the party started until dawn every day. So you would come around, and they used to do incredible numbers. And then the headliner would come in to get paid, and the guy would be sitting at this fucking desk, and he was pretty sideways, and he'd be like, "Let's see, you did about 1.5 grams of coke on Monday. I think you did like 2 grams." You know what I mean? And he would just he would just go.
I've heard of these.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think I've heard a few of these stories.
I will say this: the guy's nickname was Johnny Cash because you never wanted to take a check, and the joke was even his cash had bounced. But I
like that the nickname is based off of a story that Johnny Cash didn't write checks. But it's nothing to do with the Cash name. It's just Johnny Cash notoriously bounced checks.
Before he actually just fucking blew through the place, he went to the audience, and like I said, he was doing incredible numbers, and it would be like, I don't know, $10 to see a regular show there. And he said something like, "For $100 you get a lifetime card here," knowing that he didn't have more than $2, 2 months left tops, and just sold all these cards and then said, "Hey, we're bankrupt. What do you want from us?" It was fucking shady.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've never heard of lifetime cards. They just sound even weirder.
Life.
You get a T-shirt. You get them for free on Thursdays at some places.
Is that right? Just free T-shirt night?
You buy a T-shirt at some point, and you get in free on Thursdays. And I'm like, this is... I don't know if I like that system.
Yeah.
Huge fan of comedy or just shirts? What do you like?
And the shirt business. You can see Tommy Johnagin at the Helium Comedy Club in Philly Thursday, July 9th through Saturday, July 11th. And you were in town in New York because you're a big star and you take big, giant meetings.
Yeah, the show didn't get picked up, and now it's kind of thinking of what's the next step. The immediate thought was, my family's going to abandon me, which is going to be sad, but it'd be cheaper. So then you're setting meetings. I'm like on the road real heavy right now, so having another kid in September.
Is that right?
Yeah. So taking like September off, but then other than that, just on the road. That was the best feeling, going from, and this is really relatable to the audience, when you think you're going to have a TV show. When this happens to you, it's inevitably going to, because I'm sure you're talented. That you think, and then some people think worst case scenario, they think, well, this is never happening, it was great, and they try to enjoy every moment. I look at $3 million houses. The day we sold the show, I'm like, $3 million seems like a fair price. I got a family. So I play it out. I have like visions of
Larry David. You're Larry David.
And even it's not even about the money. It's the same thing we're talking about. The money's a byproduct. My goal is to have a TV show, so I play it out. And then the day they say it's not happening, this whole future crumbles, and then we're having another kid, and I got to go back on the road. And I'm just picturing the new future is her taking our old baby to preschool with like a new baby. Her nipples are bleeding, and just who would stay with that guy? Why would you?
Right?
Where's Daddy? He's in Des Moines.
Right. I understand he killed last night. Don't get me wrong, kid.
Yeah, it was T-shirt night. He does really well on T-shirt night.
Now, the worst part of this is that you had a show that everybody liked. The pilot, anyone who had ever seen it came back to me and said, Johnagin's pilot's amazing. I'm like, really? Yeah. That's great.
Comedy shifted. We went with the classic-y multicam, like Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Not that it was that good, but that style of family comedy.
Well, one of your problems is being with CBS, that they're so successful, they only have so many slots.
The story I'd heard, which that's the other fear, is like, what am I not hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there may be a conversation where like, oh, if it wasn't for Johnagin acting in it, we could have picked this up. We had just had that other Hanks boy. Colin Hanks was on with the show they picked up. But it seemed like we did on purpose want to be compared to Raymond. Not compared to quality-wise, but like, oh, this could be the next version of that. It's an updated version of that. And we'd heard the conversation was with the head guy. He goes, yeah, I see how it could be that. I agree. He goes, but when I put Raymond on, I had 6 slots.
Yeah.
And I took a chance, and then it worked. And I don't have that now, so there's no chance to be taken on this guy.
Yeah,
or this show.
CBS, I thought, that had that really funny Boston show on last year. And Laurie Metcalf was in it.
Laurie Metcalf's amazing.
And you're like, I was watching this. I'm like, well, Laurie Metcalf is going to win an Emmy. She is phenomenal in this. And then next thing I know, they like pulled it off. And then I look at it, and it has like 10 times the viewers of shows that we think are
any
popular.
Comedy on NBC would not compare to any show that's been canceled on CBS.
Yeah, right.
Which is, in my mind, I'm like, well, just go over there.
Go over the shit network. Yeah, you think you couldn't take that pilot, like these people take things to Netflix now.
Right.
That
they're looking to sell it, which is, it was a real moment of it's just so bummed, and then Warner Brothers, who owns it, is like, we love it, we're going to try to sell it. And I thought it was like, it's like the moment, I assume, like before the dude that cut his arm off in 127 hours. He's like, well, maybe I keep the arm. And then I just had to move mentally past it. I was like, this is crazy. Who would hang on to? Maybe I'll be the one.
So you're taking a dull knife.
Yeah,
just cutting.
I'm
off
just
that
cutting
dream.
this show off.
Yeah.
And moving on to a podcast.
So, you think I hear it's the future, the podcasting.
How much money's in banners? Banner ads. There's a lot of money in banner ads.
Yeah, it seems like banner ads are the future. Well, everyone always tells me I've got a web series now.
Yeah.
We've almost moved beyond podcasting. And some of these web series are really good.
Yeah.
And I'll see it, and then I forget. You know what I mean?
I don't know how people keep track. I mean, this is the. There's, I've been thinking, do a podcast. Everybody's been saying do it, and I think I'm going to do one just for the fact of at this point I can leave no stone left unturned. Like comedy, I would never say I do it for money, but at some point you have to be like, well, this is selfish if I'm not doing it for money. I'm going to have 2 children. You know what I mean? The worst part, I think it's the worst part, is my fiance makes a ton of money.
Yeah,
so I have to
part.
keep up with the Joneses in my house. Like, I gotta pay for half of things that are too expensive. Percentage-wise, she's feeling these kids way less than I am. It's really stressing.
Right.
It's like a strain of, we were private preschool. For 3 years, I found out because my kid's birthday is a different cutoff, so I thought she was gonna do 2 years of preschool. And then there's just a bonus year because her birthday's 2 weeks late, and it's expensive. It's like crazy expensive.
Yeah,
$16,000. I don't even know if you're supposed to say the number.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to say. They always say the absurd amount that you're paying for stuff that most people. It would be half of most people's. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's for her because she's very successful. She's 9 years older than me. That's my defense. It's like, well, you've been doing it longer. You're older. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to raise these kids on my own at some point. But she's very successful, so she would probably hate that I just said that number.
But
I don't know what things do. I don't know how people talk.
No, you're doing just well. But see, you had another tragedy this year because you were Letterman's guy. You got a steady Letterman thing,
Yeah.
and
I cut off both arms.
Yeah, you cut off the other arm, and then the second that Letterman said that he was retiring, it had to affect you on some level.
Yeah, well, there's the weird. He's the reason I started comedy level, so it made me sad. And then there is the. Well, I hope someone realizes that I do stand up on TV sometimes. I'd love. I'll go to Fallon.
You go and you do stand up and you're hilarious, but I can't see you bouncing the beach ball on your nose like the other shows want you to do now.
I don't know what's going on. I'll once I told everybody, I was like, I just took a lot of time off stand up, so I was like, once I feel like I have another late night set, hopefully in a few months, I'll see where Colbert. I don't even know if he's going to have stand-ups on it.
We don't even know.
Yeah, I think Conan puts stand-ups on.
I love Conan. The bookers there are the guy that books. It's great, but Fallon does some stand-ups, but it seems like he gets one and he loves them.
Right.
He's like, come back in 2 weeks or come back in a month.
He just says things off the top of his head.
He's got a lot of games to play.
You like big gloves? Any big gloves? You could smack me with a large glove.
Yeah, we're doing that. We could have you back for Frisbee Pizza. There's so many things that we have lined up in the future.
That's I mean, it's what it is, but I think that's the fact that late night has had this huge shift. We're the new who is good. What is good is different now.
Yeah, where Letterman would be like, he would bring out you, Regan, or Gaffigan. You would do your set, and then he would come over, great set, you know what I mean? And that would be, he would think that was the entertainment of the night.
You did it. It's
yeah,
over.
it's done. But now it's like, are you good at lip syncing? You know?
Yeah.
Can you answer questions fast?
Fallon show is like a party of like two newlyweds that just invited the neighborhood people over, and then there's got to be some people that are like, I don't really like it. I'm not into this. Right?
Yeah.
Do I need to see The Rock lip sync?
Right. And like, I guess The Rock can pull it off, but how many, are you still going to have to do the lip sync thing when you were just selling There Will Be Blood? Right. Now let's move over. Because I saw like Julianne Moore doing those kind of games. Because now all the other shows have picked it up, the daytime shows. And then, she's playing a funny game where she's pushing something around her nose. And then she's like, yes, my character really loses her senses. You know what I mean?
Slowly and sadly. Kind of like my dignity doing this.
Okay, so now let's play trivia.
See, I wonder, because it always seems like people in the audience are having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, does it just play really live? Like everyone seems to like silly, but when I'm watching it at home, I'm like, really? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know, because I was watching Larry Wilmore last night, and the audience was screaming, and I'm like, I guess there's an electricity there I'm not picking up in my house, But they were just going nuts as he's going to break. People are throwing their hands in the air. I don't know whether everyone's getting a free lunch after.
I'm just thinking this is, I wonder, because there's, not that Letterman did crazy hard-hitting interviews, but there's no real interview anymore. It almost seems like the shift where it's TMZ, where you want to know everything and everything about people, and you know who they're with, and then when they come to these late night shows, it's almost like you're supposed to get nothing anymore.
Right.
That's just, they've leaned into that generic ski strip story, and they're like, let's not even do the story.
Yeah.
Just put some skis on, and get some snow cones out here.
It's fucking Double Dare. It's like everything is Nickelodeon now, and it happened overnight. It's like Leno left, Jimmy started this, and then everybody else went, all right, then we'll do it. And that's when Dave looked around and goes, I'm not doing this shit. You know that they were coming to him saying,
like board games.
Yeah, we need to go viral. And he's like, what? I do a fucking TV show.
Battleship, Dave.
Yeah.
That's the future.
The show did get a YouTube channel like a year before he left. And I wonder if that was the thing of like, Dave, we're taking the whole show that you're doing, we're dividing it into tiny clips, and people just watch it on the internet. And then I feel like you just called Les Moonves.
Fuck this.
I'm out.
You know what else is funny? That thing was gone the day after he retired. He yanked all the clips off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're, wherever it is, up in his garage upstate or in Montana, wherever he's living now. And he's like, I don't know. I remember Johnny sold some of his clips late at night. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know what it is anymore. Yeah.
Somehow Leno owns them.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we live in a world that Leno and Letterman walked away, Jon Stewart's walking away, it just feels like there's no high ground anymore.
And there's an entirely new face. It's just
and it's getting the whole thing is I feel like there may be people afraid to put at this point if you put a white guy on, the internet's going to be mad at you.
Yeah, you can't have any more white guys.
And I'm not saying that as a...
I get racism. I get it.
I'm just saying, if you don't want the funniest guys, then just do that show. Do a different show.
It is the strangest thing, but white guys can't go to the trough anymore. It's just been done. And that's what you're saying. He might be doing it well, but it has been done.
Yeah.
We need, what would be great now, gays seem so boring after Caitlyn Jenner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be transgender.
Yeah.
I did my kids in ballet, and there's it's in LA, so it's just famous people's kids in ballet. There is this movie star woman. Her kids in our ballet. I don't want to shit on her kid, but she has a boy. He's in this ballet class. There's boys. So there's a recital. There's a boy class. They go out and they do Grease dance in their t-shirts and their jeans. It's fine. And then there's ballet, and there's boys in each of them, and they're in the male version of if this were a ballet on Broadway, this is what a male would wear. And then this movie star's son comes out in a tutu. He's wearing the girl outfit. And I'm like, there's no way you adopted an interesting black kid. Like, you didn't get the transgender boy lottery. Your kid doesn't fit into that. You're just making him wear a tutu for attention. My kid's as boring as yours. And she wants to dress like all the other kids that look like her. It just blows my mind. Everybody's like, this is a big hot thing now. Guys can dress like girls can dress like guys.
Yeah, you got to get there. Well, I think Magic Kid is on top of it. Will Smith's kid is pulling it off in a big way.
The Jaden one?
Yeah,
he's just like Batman.
Yeah, well, he shows up in a dress and he's like, isn't this shocking?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
He blurs the lines, Yeah.
But the thing is, I've been beat up all my life with stuff, so nothing bothers me. You could come in and do it. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I can't get shocked. I know at the Royal Opera House just last night, they did a 5-minute sexual assault that turned into full frontal nudity at the Royal Opera House in London, and the crowd started booing and yelling out gratuitous.
Booing?
Yes, they thought they were going to an opera and they saw a gang rape. And
What?
it's just, this took place and it went to full nudity. And the audience, and let's face it, this isn't an audience off the street, it's an opera audience.
Right. Cultured.
Yeah.
Well, the idea, I love that they heckle needless and gratuitous. This is needless.
Gratuitous.
Advanced heckle.
I don't know, though. I think the boo is a little far, though. I mean, I understand being like, this is a little much for me. I mean,
Right.
5 minutes on the stage, that's a lot of minutes.
Right.
To watch. I mean, if you watch 5 minutes of rape on a film.
Right.
I don't
would be
understand
like-
how this happened. I'm trying to get as much details from these two. Was this a trick?
No, this was
is part of the thing.
play. Yeah, part of the play was, and then we're going to have the men just gang rape this woman.
Part of the play, not improv.
No, I don't.
They didn't
I don't
spring
think
it.
they
It's not
improv
an actual
in opera.
Carried
This was
away.
set up that way, and I think it's a traditional opera,
Right.
right? That they're doing in this way of like, oh, instead of implied rape, let's actually, do the rape. And she's on stage nude. And let's face it, most of the opera crowd has got to be 78, 80 years old.
It's their fault. Research. You don't have to go to opening night. Wait till
Yeah.
that first gang rape review comes out. It's not for me.
Okay. I'm not gonna...
That's an interesting thing.
I don't like the people in the audience. I don't like anyone that comes to a thing blind.
Right.
And then boos. What it is what you paid for.
Right.
I think the deal would be this. And I think we would agree that, let's say, if she would have done shit on the stage. You're like, this is too far. I thought I was going to an opera. She shit. But your thing, Tommy, is saying no one should show up to opening night to anything. You would not be at the premiere.
I mean,
of
if we're
anything.
going to if it's the new run of Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And it's just, But if it's an opening night, what are you expecting, I guess? Why are you...
No rape. I think you're expecting an opera that there's going to be singing without all the rape.
But here's the thing of the booing. I get the idea of booing rape in general. Like,
Right.
nobody likes rape.
I do it every time I see one.
Call the cops. Boo!
You're an awful person. She
This
doesn't
is
like you
needless.
back.
Please.
Gratuitous.
Boo. I think that it's not that she's literally being raped. You can write a bad review. You can say, I think that was gratuitous. But I think it's a little insane.
I think
to
we're on the
just
same page.
See, this is the difference.
I think we did it.
For me and you guys. I went to see shows in Philadelphia, and everyone got booed. At every sporting event, people got booed. I don't give their family would be booed when they were announced. Booing was a normal thing. You could have been, if you look at most fucking people's list, Mike Schmidt makes all-time third baseman. And I never saw him get anything but fucking booed in Philadelphia. They thought he was shit. He went 3 for 4. Why didn't you go 4 for 4? I know why. You suck. That's why you let us down. So I get the booing. The booing is, for some reason now we're at a point where people don't think they can get booed. I hear people bring up the politically correct thing, and they're like, I said this joke and the audience turned on me. Well, that's a lot different than trying to keep you from getting work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think an audience can turn on any performer at any time.
Right.
Yeah, I've had it happen, and I'm not even anywhere near what would be an edge or political.
You're basically John Norman Howard right now in A Star Is Born. Your wife, her fucking thing is going up. You're going down. You're showing up drunk. What are you assholes looking at? I don't know. The show that we all paid to see. You're late. You're drunk. Like, booing is going to happen. And I could see how the elderly people didn't think they were showing up for full frontal nudity.
I mean, I'll give you, they probably don't know their audience if they're...
This is off-Broadway shit. And they took it to the Royal Opera House. And opera has been around forever.
Well, maybe it's the booker's fault.
What was their commission?
There's an opening right now. If you can get yourself to London. How's your soprano? Is it good?
They're trying to get 200 off them.
Yeah. You'll be going backstage picking up a couple of C notes for me. Don't say anything to the diva. I need that money. But yeah, it could be the Booker's. It could be the Booker's mistake. Yeah, but I know if I was at an opera, like if I got, this would be the first chance that I actually sat up and was like, this fucking show's
That's what it's been pretty hot. Is this operas?
Yeah.
I missed this?
Are they going to show the penetration, or is that the end of it?
Yeah, how graphic was this gang rape scene is what I was thinking. Like, what if someone ran up to...
You know, that you can get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she was totally nude in front of an elderly
and I mean,
fucking crew.
I don't know, maybe it's crass, but like, it's like you'd only a couple guys can do it. It's not like really the whole gang. There's only so many things you could put
More
it. You know what I
cheering
mean?
on. A lot of people are just cheering.
Yeah, a
on.
lot of people are bystanders.
I would be willing to say this. I think in a gang rape, I'm going to say at least two of the guys would have performance anxiety. I'm going to think two of the gang, but the other guys,
Those are the guys you worry about because they're going to get violent.
Yeah, they're going to start blaming her.
Right.
Yeah. And see, we've gotten away from opera. And that's what happens.
Well, I think the opera is wanting us, trying to get conversations going.
I only went to one opera before, but the great thing is that they put what was happening. Yeah, they put the subtitles up on houses and shit. It was the
La Boheme, or
it was La Boheme.
Yeah.
Were you with us that night?
I was.
So we go to it, and it was basically subtitles. Who was the director?
Baz Luhrmann.
Baz Luhrmann. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was much more colorful, and you could read as you were going along.
I've never heard that could happen.
Yeah,
it was very smart.
It was the first time, and some people didn't like it. Some people were like, "That is
needless,
an affront,
gratuitous."
Yeah. Right? And I'm like, "Why didn't you read the review first? Why didn't you check the Booker?"
The thing is, with that, you're enjoying
the Booker. I'll never get over the opera Booker.
It's the Booker's fault. You know, I was gonna say, listen, I have been to a play. And I wish I could remember the playwright's name. She's a female playwright, but it was
Neil Simon.
No, she's a female playwright. But it was very terrifying. There was a rape. There was a lot of nudity. There was a lot of violence. There was someone I think cut someone's eye out, and then they had sex with the eye hole. It was like a really intense thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not kidding, like halfway through, it was like a post-apocalyptic world, the lights keep going out, and I was like having a straight up panic attack in there. And everyone else was sitting there like, they seemed like they were very interested, and I was like, I want to tear my clothes off and run out of there. So I get that it's intense.
Sure. But that was an off-Broadway thing.
Exactly.
It wasn't the Royal Opera House.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I remember when we went to see the Sam Shepard play, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was stomping around, and, it's not a big place, and I start to think to myself, I might have to fucking protect my family against this guy. I'm like, he's acting so fucking crazy. I might have, if he comes into the audience, I'm just fucking smacking him. Because he was insane. He was just stomping around and throwing shit, and it felt like you were in a room where, like you ever been like on a subway or something, someone starts acting crazy. You're like, as long as it stays over there.
Yeah.
Okay, but if he even comes in this area, I'm just going to hit him. Right. I'm not going to try to discuss it. That's how I felt about an Oscar winner. So to see a real play can be very intense, much more than a movie.
Yeah,
much more.
Live performance has this very weird moment. The first 5, even maybe up to 10 minutes, where you're like, none of this is real and this is strange. And I'm looking at a set, and it's like,
seems so
yeah,
dumb.
it seems kind of silly. And if it is a great play or great performers, after you hit that, it's like you're totally lost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it is the same level as film. So I think that makes people a little bit more
But
emotional.
particularly off Broadway, you could be sitting there with like 50 people where this is happening. Like being at a fucking AA meeting when someone starts to break down.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, that's right. People don't normally talk this way.
Yeah. And you get a thing with the audience where like, we're all going through this right now. Like, we're all in this weird thing.
Yeah.
We're all a part of this gang rape right now.
So I will stop the rape.
Boo!
And it's also the people can hear you, is I'm assuming, a big factor in the booing.
Yeah.
This isn't a movie. Vin Diesel's not going to say, like, what? These guys, they'll stop the gang rape.
Joey Jojo does a great thing of Vin Diesel. When Vin Diesel finds out and they tell him they're going to be doing another one of the Fast and Furious movies, what does he normally say?
Is it for family? All right, I'm in.
That's his Vin Diesel. He's very proud of it.
Is it for family? All right, I'm in. But you know what they say too? It's not over till the fat lady screams.
Oh, see, you had a
There
little
we go.
joke
We
there.
did it.
That must have been killing you in the other room.
I know
I
it was. I actually texted to Pepper.
Did he really? Did he text you?
Holy
guys?
shit, it just came in.
Yeah. And if you would have done it, you would have done the same line. We'd all just looked at you.
Yeah, it's like
not funny, Chris.
It was just a stupid asshole.
I didn't know there was so much sex and rape in live.
Yeah.
As a live performer, I guess I'm not that into live performance.
Since like the whole Aquarius thing, right? I guess that was the first big nude.
Hair, yeah.
Yeah, hair. And I saw that in the park. Like they were out in Central Park doing it a couple years ago, and still the entire cast, like 50 people, takes their clothes off. You know, and they're like singing, but you can't be going tits, tits, dick, tits, tits. You know what I mean? Like it's a strange thing where you try not to act like, oh, I'm into the performance, but you can't get beyond the fact that nudity changes everything.
Yeah, and I can't. I won't sit through any rape in movies even. So
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a. I'm not. It's not even a weird. It's a weird line to draw. Is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Like I'll just fast forward. I can't. I just won't. I don't think there's. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see you recreate it.
Right. But you have no problem with murder. You can.
I can watch murder.
You can watch murder.
Yeah.
Because I remember, even when I was a kid, I'd be watching a cowboy movie, and just murder, horse shot. I'd start crying. Like I'd feel really bad if a horse or dog got
I
shot.
thought you said a whore got shot.
No, I never would cry for a horse. I said she had it coming to her.
That's
You know?
one of the, what's the Clint Eastwood movie where he's the hero, but in the very beginning he rapes the woman in the barn?
Yeah,
What's the movie?
High
Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But they had to let on. Didn't they even say that they acted like as it went on that maybe she?
Yeah, she like did the. Oh, now I like it. Eventually, she was okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's fine. We raped her, and then she's
Right.
like, I like it rough.
Yeah. They're like, well, that wasn't what that was earlier.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm going to say that's her call, though. I'm not going to get involved. It's their thing if they're playing a little deeper.
Yeah.
But that suddenly seems real to you. The rape scene.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't have a thing. I don't know why.
Something as a little boy, you just haven't remembered it. Some terrible thing.
I was in a play once. The whole gang of guys.
But
I like the one old guy leaving this at home just later. The wife's just furious, and he's like, "Yeah, that was. You didn't like that, right? That was awful, huh?
Yeah.
It wasn't. We weren't into that, were you?
Yeah, he was just then he starts tugging at her nightgown too hard. Remember that play we saw? Not playing his games with you, dude.
I was booing.
Yeah, booing, sure. I think, honestly, if you go back and listen to that, I think a lot of them were yelling Lou. Because there's a guy there named Lois. So they were
young booers.
Yeah, Lou! Dude, it, Lou! I could...
move. But the guy was like blocking her.
Yeah. Anytime
There's
that
a
used
naked
to go...
woman up there. You got a guy standing in front of her. Move!
Every time I went to see Lou Reed, somebody would yell out, Lou, like that, and you're like, what? Oh, I see.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Okay, it's just Lou. You're yelling a man's name at them. Does not seem odd.
Luke Longley for the Bulls.
Boom.
Big Lou. It's. I think that and the guys waving behind the camera, yelling a guy's name at a guy, and the guys waving behind the reporters.
Yeah. Right.
That's the dumbest. I think it may be the dumbest thing that people do.
That all started with the guy that used to wear the afro, the rainbow covered afro, right? And he would show up on every Monday night football game, and he would just be like, "Yeah!" And you'd be like, "Is that fucking dude again?" And then he started the John 3:16. And that took
guy?
off. Yeah, it's the same dude. And then later he got busted for some. Was he tied up in a murder or something?
I think
Something
it was
weird.
Kidnapping and murder.
What? Yeah.
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 Whoa.
Yeah, this guy with the rainbow afro in 316.
And he was big enough that he actually got commercials and shit. And like you would just be watching a baseball game and like you'd see this guy behind and you're like, wait, he's at this fucking thing too?
Yeah, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
It got real dark, real weird.
It got real fucking yeah. We got to make a movie out of that guy.
Rainbow
He's not the
Man.
guy that says he started the wave, is he?
No, the guy who started the wave was on like Entertainment Tonight. He was that guy.
There were two guys that claimed
Two
they
guys
started.
fight over starting the wave.
I feel like they were at either end of the stadium.
Yeah. One of those guys, he also plays the piano and he was on. I think it's funny. There were two sides of the stadium. It was just gone. Yeah, but they were trying to get it in the opposite direction. There were waves crashing and fighting. I am so glad that the wave is over. I hated it.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying.
And I never gave it more than just one arm. I just like, yeah, I'm kind of watching the game though.
Although I did like it as a kid, and I could see that it really annoyed adults around me. Like, here it comes. Pay attention to the game.
We all see it.
Don't forget it's coming. We're going to stand
You
up.
can get up. Get up next time, though, okay?
They're reversing it.
Yeah.
Everybody. She's turning a wheel on a ship. It's.
Can't we just sit and watch a ball game?
No.
Why are we waving? All right, what are the names of the guys who say they start to wave, Chris?
All right.
It's the whole thing of having you next to a computer, so you could jump on this. I got to think of the guy's name from Entertainment Tonight or whatever those shows are called.
Crazy George Henderson?
No, why would his name be Crazy George? Now, let me tell you about... I know
Is that a legal document?
I know who Crazy George is. He's a guy, and it was him and the chicken, the San Diego chicken. They got so popular with their home things that other teams would buy them, and they would just come and try to get the crowd going for that.
I love it.
But Crazy George, they actually took him. They said that legally he was not mentally insane. He just...
All right, former Entertainment Tonight host Rob Weller stated that he and Dave Hunter led the first wave at University of Washington Huskies game.
I don't know who that is.
And Google has Crazy George Henderson as one of the
I didn't know that
inventors of the
Crazy
wave.
George was.
Did you say inventors?
Inventors.
That's what Google said? He invented it?
You think Edison would get pissed by that? Oh, that's an invention? Okay, good.
Oh, all right.
All right. So is a dance an invention, too?
That's what Google has.
Yeah.
The Washington Huskies claim to have invented it some 2 weeks later, after George Henderson started at an A's-Yankees playoff
I
game
can't
in
believe they're
Oakland.
using the word invented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right there.
They're just like, well, Edison didn't invent electricity. He just learned how to harness it.
Right.
That's what we did with the wave.
You discovered the wave.
Right. We
It's
just
always
had
been there.
a standing ovation happening in one section at a time. Well, a friend of my brother said that he invented up high. I don't know because, like, slapping five.
High?
Up high.
Oh,
so
he
was
says he invented up high?
That before that, people would just do it
Go
low.
down low?
And he's like, you know what? Let's show other people we're going up high.
Was just seeing your emotion, and it may just be from muscle memory kicking in, but your low five looks like you're passing drugs.
Well,
is that where it started?
No, it started as Skin Me, right? It was like a thing like that. It was like this was the old jazz musicians would do Skin Me. Real soft, real slow. And it was like, just give me some skin. And then, of course, like anything that is even slightly cool came out of the black culture, right? And then they say, I think it was like the early 80s guys, and they're giving that to the Dodgers, who did the high five on home runs. And then they go back to the Oakland A's for either doing the pound or two arms up together.
So it all comes from sports.
A lot of it comes from sports or music. Those are the two things. I mean, other people are working for a living, and they don't have,
they don't have the time to create all these hand motions.
Welders aren't going to go, what if we do a thing with our feet?
You're on fire. Oh, Jesus. I forgot.
Yeah.
We're welding.
All right, let's go over this guy. Scott, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, man.
Hey, I think today's version of the rainbow wig guy is that Marlins man. You know, he buys the primo tickets to all the sporting events and wears his orange old Marlins look, and he shows up at the World Series, the Super Bowl, everything. I don't know the story behind the guy.
Well, there was a guy that for
He's like a lawyer. He owns a law firm.
Yeah, there was a guy, and I like this guy that snuck into something like the first 25 or 30 Super Bowls. He would just show up. He'd be like the FedEx man, or he would dress. And
Really?
he.
I love that guy way more than this Marlins guy.
Yeah, the Marlins guy is just a guy who's willing to go big on.
I was at a Dodgers game. It's a thing of like you can't buy yourself a TV show, but you can buy you being on TV, and then blogs will say it. So he's like a dude. Something's missing. He didn't have enough family or something. But I was at a Dodgers game and I saw him, and he's there. He just is in the Marlins gear. And is that the guy that snuck in on everybody's shoulders?
Yeah,
Deion Rich.
Yeah, and he just picked up Landry.
Yeah.
He just went and picked up Landry with the rest of the team. We did it.
The Marlins guy, I was like, at a Dodgers game, I go, oh, did you go to the finals game last night? And he goes, yeah, going tomorrow too. Then I'm going to, and then he just started listing off, and I was like, all right, I see what this is about.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm going to watch him. I'll see you.
And now he gets to go there, and people will see him, and they'll pose with him and stuff, and he'll feel good about himself. But any kind of getting through after a 9/11, security is weird. I was standing on
2001?
Yeah. I was standing on 2001. The other 9/11, well, they say this year, watch out. But that's just me. But I was standing on the sidelines for a whole first half of a NFL game. And then in the second half, we're just standing there, and the guy comes over and he goes, what are you guys doing? And I go, covering it for radio. And he goes, what are you talking about? Who? How? And I go, you know what? We're just going to go. And he's like, wait. I go, no, I just fucking said to you, we're leaving. We're going back up to our booth. Because we were down early. You know, we had the field passes. And then everybody else left. And we said, what would happen if we just stood over here?
I got to find this guy that snuck into all these football games. I love any move like that.
He did it all through like the 60s and the 70s. And
The
Oscars. He would just do shit like this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. He's with Gwyneth Paltrow, and she was just going to think, well, this dude belongs here.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
We're all here together. No big deal. And this was just his. I don't know did he ever write a book? I know there might have been a 30 for 30 on him or something.
I snuck into a matinee of Furious 7 one time.
How was that?
I didn't get as much press as I thought.
You know, Joe can do an impression of finding out there's going to be a new Furious 7 movie.
Wait, is it for family? Alright, I'll go. Wait, they got Michelle. We gotta go get Michelle. Go see Furious 7.
I hope he comes in here one day. I'm going to make him do that for you, and then I'll have him just start swinging at you.
I'll be sick that day.
He's like sausage colored. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but
I think it probably is. I think if you say that someone's skin is sausage
Wait, me
colored.
or Vin Diesel?
Yeah, or maybe I should say you at this point because it
Yeah,
seems like
it's
it'd be
better.
less on
Yeah.
Twitter. But I feel like I just maybe it's bad. Maybe I won't be friends with him after that.
And then I was just going through. You know what? I was going through for these parts. This gentleman with the sausage-colored skin.
That's what they're
is
looking for.
Interesting. Call him Booker.
It's him and one of the racing hot dogs at Milwaukee during the 7th inning, going up for it.
You never know where they're going. They take those short steps. No one. And again, kids are cheering and adults are just annoyed. I don't know who won, honey. Watch the game. Game's about to
It's rigged. It's rigged, sweetheart.
Yeah. You already had ice cream, so not right now. Maybe later. The amount of things that children want to buy at marked up prices at any game.
Well, they don't understand price of things, so
Can
they're
we
just like, I don't understand why we can't have this.
Can we get those peanuts? Well, honey, I know you see them there, and that's $16. And there's like 8 of them. And I can take that $16 and give you peanuts for the next 10 months. That's how cheap peanuts normally are, unless they're in this one round building.
No, you can't have peanuts. I'll get 2 beers.
Yeah, give me the large $24 ones. Yeah. Yeah, make it hot, too.
Yeah.
Really pissy hot and flat.
Love them hot.
Yeah.
Could you put your thumb in? Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, just put it right in the top there.
Pass it down. Pass it. That is the funniest shit, that the markup on food in those places. It's worse than any drug markup has ever been in history.
I think it's so cruel too that they make you like throw out your water beforehand.
Right.
Throw that out and buy it for $8 once you walk inside.
Throw out the reasonably priced things that you're bringing. I remember the first game that I go to. So we're going up there, my Uncle Bill, right? We're going to a football game, and it's fucking freezing. And my father's complaining about how cold it is. My uncle's like this, don't worry, Lee. I got the radio. So he has this hollowed out radio, right? Transmission radio, where he has taken like where you would normally see the stations, and he's put a thermometer there. And he's just pulling it out and just taking big hits and they're passing it around. And this was at an Eagles game. And I'm like 4 or 5 years old and it's freezing out. And here are all the men in my life that I care about and I respect, and they're all pounding whiskey. And this to a child felt like they'd taken me to a riot. It was in Philadelphia. There was fights and it spilled onto the field. People were, and everybody, I'm like, why have they brought me here? I am the least safe person in this entire place. And I'm not kidding. There must have been 200 fights. And apparently something happened on the field. You know what I mean? There's something went back and forth on the field. I couldn't stop looking at the melee that was taking place all around me.
Do you think your mom knew how rough it was?
She definitely never wanted me to be a pussy, though. She was always like, go with the boys.
Right.
You know, your hair's curly. Go. Go with them. Or else life won't be easy for you. My mom was always like hit back and all that kind of shit. She always worried that, you know, about sensitivity.
I'm so glad I don't have a boy. With the girl, I'm like just figuring out what's too much and what's too, like, she calls her she's like, it's my privacy, or she calls her privacy. And then I was like, you know what, let's just be real here. I go, that's your vagina and that's yours, and you know, mommy and daddy, if we wash it, but that's just yours. And you know, that's your vagina. She, my vagina? And he said, yeah, it's cute when you say it like that, but just no one else. And then I'm like, she's 2. What am I doing, like a rape console?
Right.
To what? I need to shut the internet off.
Right, you should.
I lost her at the park for like several minutes.
Unbelievable.
And this scenario, I was like, well, she's a sex slave now. Well, that part's over. And it was probably 2 or 3 minutes, and I went to full panic mode, screaming.
It's horror to not have a child with you.
And that's where we talk about your vagina.
So, but yeah, you don't know the kind of fear. A friend of ours, they're on the beach, can't find the kid. So we're running around, we're running through the beach, we're looking for, you know, you're looking in the water just to see a floating body, right?
Oh, no.
And this fucking kid had decided to go back to the house and take a shit, right? And then started watching TV.
Oh!
And fucking, it was Pete's kid.
Yeah.
And so much time had gone by. And it was all, you know, you live like you have lost the child after that. Like, you get the child back, you're happy, and then you spend the rest of the next couple of days living like you're child. I
lost her long enough that I started thinking of what I'm gonna say to my chick. Like, I started thinking I'm in trouble. You know, like you've lost your kid for long enough that you've dealt with the grief and you're worried about what it's gonna do to you. I was like, I don't know how I'm even gonna say this. Like,
you lost a 2-year-old.
She's small and she's like built to lose.
But where did she go?
She was playing with this girl who's about 5, who the scenario I thought was like, well, maybe that girl's like a bait girl.
Right.
And they get her playing, and then they bounce them into the van or, you know, small SUV where they drive. So they hide under the play. She took this kid to hide under my kid under the park play area, whatever it was. They're just hiding like an army. Like
right,
on
sure,
their
like we all did. Like, oh, let's climb under there.
Yeah, not 2015. You don't do that.
Yeah.
And we're not going to put her on a leash, but well, I guess we got a backup baby now.
That that type of fear that you get, you just don't even understand in real life.
You know what it is? If the dads and moms that go to the park and just sit on their phones,
they
don't feel it because that kid's gone 5 or 6 times. They've lost that kid and not even known it. Multiple times.
Right.
But when I'm there and I'm paying attention, I'm like involved and I'm chasing her, and then she disappears. I felt it. But in reality, she would have just hid under there, you know, been fine, got out.
Yeah, nothing
Nobody
happened.
touched her vagina.
Everything that you feel is completely made up. But that doesn't mean that it's not real terror.
I was like, this is way worse than the Johnagin picked up.
Yeah.
First my show doesn't get picked up, now I lose my kid.
You're yelling this out the park. I know my show isn't there. And I'm not like that movie star who's rich enough and famous enough to put his kid in a tutu and still feel comfortable. But that's the weirdest fucking thing And well, Chris, it's like you when you don't know where that last beer is. Like you either put it in the back of the toilet or in the butter dish. Like that's
hidden somewhere.
Like that's a hiding spot that not every drunk is going to look for.
And then you realize it's just in the hat on your head.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's right where I left it.
Well, we got to wrap this up. We wish we could keep Johnagin because it's always fun, man. You're a funny man.
Thanks for having me as always. It won't be so long in between.
Yeah,
next
let's
time.
do it. Let's at least stay in touch by phone or something. Just to, I mean, are you that busy during the day we can't give you a call?
No, I'd love to talk on the phone.
Because you say perfect now, but do you ever get a hold of him during the show?
No, I don't.
There's a lot of
doesn't. He
questions
doesn't
only
try to bring
Tommy could answer.
I'm going to start calling him.
When?
Next week.
Start calling me.
I'm going to call you next week, Tom.
That's
I'll be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just catch up on the last 2 days.
If you,
I went to Chipotle. What did you guys do?
Same.
You know, I'm starting to carry my lunch. I don't know. It seems crazy, but it's cheaper.
It's episode 1 of the podcast.
I love to do your podcast. I can't seem to get on anybody's podcast. And if you want, I'll listen to.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, if I do it, I'm going to have regular, normal people guests because they never get asked to be on somebody's podcast.
Right.
And some of them have to be interesting.
So you'll just have the listeners. If you're a listener to this podcast,
you can be on.
Yeah, you
what
can
do you
be
do?
on.
You work at Chipotle?
Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia, Thursday, July 9th through Saturday, July 11th. HeliumComedyClub.com for tickets. Tommy, we'll see you later, my friend.
Sure.
That's it for us for the 4th. Anything we need to promote before we get out of here?
No, we're good. We're back live next Wednesday.
But we're going to be playing some best stuffs, and we're recording stuff to, set that up. So it's like we're not even going. All right. We'll see you guys again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!